Hello everyone and welcome to a very special cosplay Q&A with me, Iron Warrior Cosplay. My guest tonight has had an amazing history in movies and TV. He's worked on such things as The Walking Dead, Arrested Development, Boardwalk Empire, Terminator Genesis, Hunger Games, Pirates of the Caribbean, The Dead Man's Chest, Titanic, the amazing Titanic film, Fifth Element, and that's just to name a few that he has done. More recently, he's taken to the cosplay community by storm with his Evil Ted live channel and on his Twitch. His live streams show that cosplay isn't as difficult as it seems, with his easy-to-follow tutorials and his really helpful tips and tricks. I've barely scratched the surface of what this man has accomplished in his life, but as someone with this much experience to learn from is an absolute gift to the cosplay community. I am truly honored to have this wonderful man on my stream. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Iron Warrior Cosplay Q&A, the one, the only, Evil Ted Smith. Welcome to you, sir. How are you?
Hello. Wow, what an intro. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I had it typed up. I've been shaking a little bit. I'm very, very excited to have you on here.
No need.
Welcome. Thank you so much. We've been chatting a little bit. I say a little bit. We've been chatting for about 3 hours, I think.
Yeah, we did. We got up. I wanted to make sure. I've always had technical issues with me. Let me move. I realized. Let me move my camera. I'm not my camera, but my microphone a little closer. There. Make sure you guys can hear me. Periodically, I'm going to be very unprofessional and dip in here and eat some of my macaroni and cheese real quick.
Oh, absolutely. Please feel free. Please feel free. Ted celebrated his birthday yesterday, so everyone just spam happy birthday in the chat, and this absolute legend is currently hungover doing a stream with one of the, with one of the loudest people in Wales, so I'm really, really excited.
Thank you. Yeah, I was.
Awesome.
We had friends over, and I have a tendency to, you don't want the night to end, so you keep drinking, and sometimes it's not the best.
Oh, honestly, we have so much to go through, and I cannot wait to hear like more stories. Like, I'm really, really excited. The chat is currently spamming happy birthday for you.
Oh, guys, thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. I'm 57. 57.
Oh, wow, that is you. I thought, like, genuinely, I thought you were much younger because
Thank you.
because I've seen a bunch of the cosplay stuff you've done, and I'm just like, he cannot be like over 40. No way. Like, it's I love it. It's awesome, and I hope like when
I'm mentally 25, so.
Oh wow, really? That's I like that. I hope I can keep going. I hope after like with the cosplay stuff, I hope I can keep going and just and end up just going until the very end. I just want to go until I'm done. Like I just want to keep going.
That's my plan too.
So right, that as I said with that introduction. God, you've done so much. Wow, you have done so much. You have done an insane amount of stuff. Thank you so much, Artemis Blackfire, for hosting the stream right now. You've done more. Like this is barely like this is 2 sheets of stuff that I found and typed out of yours, and I've got another sheet there with more stuff that you have done.
I tell you what, it does reach a point to where I forget what I've worked on. But what happens is that I am in the industry. I'm a toggle in the gears. There's like making movies and films and television shows like that. It's like there's so many people to make a film happen, and getting film credits always kind of ridiculous because when you watch the movies now, there's so much visual effects now and digital and CG and miniatures or whatever. When you see the effects roll up and they're 3 paragraphs wide in a movie theater, you're like watching Lord of the Rings, and the credits start to roll, and you're looking at all these names. It's like you're like, good grief, it's gotten bigger over the years. But on a show, I'm just one of the toggle on a gear on production, so it may seem very impressive, but in reality, I worked like we work on so many shows so fast that sometimes I'll be working on one show and wrap on another show to jump to another show. I loved when I first started. My first real big movie production, a real professional production, was the Guyver movie, and that was I came out and met some people, and I helped my friend Steve Wang make an independent film. He made a film called The Kung Fu Rascals. So it was a low budget, shot on Super 8 movie, And it's, if anybody out there, I think you can find it on YouTube now, but if there's some DVDs, you can get one. They're super rare, but it's a like a martial art, mystic martial magical comedy. And I worked on that with him, and we became friends. So when he got the Guyver movie dropped in his lap, I got pulled onto that. So I was able to do that, and that was a lot of fun.
That was Guyver in 1991.
Yes,
Were you were an actor on that?
yes. Well, that beginning was I was a one of the crew. I was part of the crew, and in the beginning, Steve wanted to cast me because I worked for this film, The Kung Fu Rascals, where I played. I played a couple of villains. I played monsters, and he liked my performance. He really liked how animated I was, and moved and talked with my hands. And Steve's like, "I'd love to have you in the Guyver." So I said, "Yes." So I played the giant lizard, Striker. J.J. Walker played the human monster. When he transformed into the monster, I played the monster. And so I was in the show doing that. But then Steve knew about my model making skills. And he was like, "Hey, we need to make the Guyver unit." So I was able to design and make the Guyver unit for the movie. So Steve did the suit and I made the unit. And Steve he wanted to move. He wanted things to shoot open. So it was a big learning curve. It was my first time working with people like, we want this. Can you do it? I was like, yeah. And I had no idea how I was going to do it. I just said, yeah.
I love that. I love that. It's like, can you do it? Yes. How?
Yes. And you go, how am I going to do this? How am I going to do this? But that was, and that's what I loved. I loved challenging myself. And that was when I just moved out to California. So I just got bombarded with really talented people hanging out with these guys and making that movie. It was a lot. And that was my first, I played a monster, and it was like a dream come true. I was playing a monster, building props, and being on set. And we did a couple of movies in a row. And then that was, I kept thinking, this is it. Everything else is going to be smooth sailing. And then from that point on, everything else dropped down and became hard work. I was like scrapping for work after that. But still.
But you did work on Guyver Dark Hero then
Yes,
again.
time passed. He came around, and Steve did the second one. And the second one, for the fans out there, I think they like that one better. It's a little bit darker and more like the original anime. It's darker, but he did that for so much little. The first one was $3 million
Oh wow!
on the first Guyver, and a lot of that money went to the actors, the talent, and we had a huge crew. We shot that entire movie in 4 weeks.
Wow!
Yeah.
4 weeks. That is wow. 4 weeks for a whole film. I couldn't imagine how tight the timing with that would be.
Oh, it's insane. We had 2 units toward the end. We shoot all the principal stuff. They call it principal photography. Is when you're shooting the main story. You want to make sure you get the story first.
Yeah.
And Steve pushed very vigorously with him and said, "Guys, we're making an action movie. So let's not shoot the action stuff last. Let's shoot the action stuff first. Let's get all the action stuff." And he kind of got him on board a little bit. They shot some principal. So toward as the film started shooting and things became crazier, Steve became just wanted to shoot the action stuff and let Screaming Mad George do the acting stuff. So we had 2 units going at the same time while we're shooting this movie. And that's I worked with Mark Hamill on that show. Mark Hamill.
Oh Luke
Skywalker, and it was cool that Mark and I were hanging out, and Mark Hamill was like, looked at me and went, "They're shooting this movie in 4 weeks." I said, "Yes," and he said, "The fight scene with me and Darth Vader on the Cloud City, the fight scene with him and Darth."
Yeah.
That scene of him walking around the Cloud City and fighting Darth, that was 4 weeks.
Oh, it shows the sheer scale of things, doesn't it?
And I laughed and told Mark, I said, "Yep, that's the budget Star Wars had."
That is, well, the thing is, not only did you work on things like, obviously, I'm looking at the list of stuff you've worked on, and I mean, I didn't know. I used to watch Xena. I actually used to watch Xena. You worked on Xena, the TV series.
Yeah, I worked the final season. It was the last season, and I worked at there's a company called K&B, and they made the monsters. And normally, New Zealand, they have Weta Effects Group, the Weta guys that do all the Lord of the Rings films. They have an amazing effects shop, and they used to do Xena as well too. But what was happening was Peter Jackson wanted to do this little film called Lord of the Rings, so he got the green light. So he was doing that movie, and so they were so tapped out that they're like, "We can't do like other stuff for Xena right now. We're so busy." So I think somebody at Weta was like, "Hey, let's talk to K&B. We like those guys." And so they hooked them up. So K&B started doing stuff. We built stuff in the States, and we would pack it up and ship it to New Zealand.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I tell you what, it was worth it because that I enjoyed that TV show a lot. Like, well, obviously when I was younger, I watched it. It was on Sky One, I think. I used to watch
Yeah,
it.
and it was weird because when I was in New Zealand, it was television here in the States. We got it for free. And when I was in New Zealand, locals were like, "Are you here for holiday?" I'm like, "No, I'm here on a show." They go, "Oh, you working?" Like, yeah. I said, "Xena." And they looked at me like, they tilted their head and went, "They shoot that here?" Like, I thought it was very funny. I'm like, "Have you guys watched the show?" And and the people were like, "Well, no, it's a cable channel thing. It's something they have to pay extra for." And on
Oh,
in Auckland, where we were shooting, in Auckland, this little island where they're shooting everything. It's like people are like, if it's not on TV, we don't watch. It's like it's if we had to pay extra for it. So it turned out that the place they were shooting at it for locals to watch it, they had to pay for it.
that's crazy. I would not be happy if that happened around here. If someone filmed
That's,
something here,
that's why a lot of people never saw it.
that's crazy. That is because because obviously along with Xena, I mean you did Cybertron VR Troopers. Like man alive, I hope everyone in chat.
We are a trooper.
I hope everyone understands that VR Troopers is so amazing. Like, if you
And
haven't seen VR Troopers, go watch it. It's so
We Are Troopers is absurd. What that show was
it's crazy.
Saban, the company that did Power Rangers. They blew up. They're doing Power Rangers, and all Power Rangers really was. It's like it's corporate. It's corporate 101. It's super. It's brilliant. It's almost irritating how much Saban made millions and millions of dollars of just taking other people's work. It's a Japanese TV show. They got the rights to it. They bought it from Japan, brought it to the States, and they air them here. And they would actually buy everything. They would get the costumes. They buy the costumes and stuff, and they buy all the stuff. They just bought and they bring out here. All they would shoot is the actors walking around doing dialogue. And as soon as they go morphing time, anytime the actors were dealing with the kids, it was the American actors, but all the footage of the monsters and the fighting was all Japanese. So
That's crazy. I see. This is where we get insider info of these amazing TV shows and stuff. Because I was absolutely just because I remember watching VR Troopers.
Yeah, and the same thing happened was they bought the show. VR Troopers. They bought the show from Japan. I think they bought two shows. This is what's so crazy about it. They combined two shows. They bought one show, another show, and they put them together and edited them to make stories out of them. And the suits they didn't get from Japan. They didn't buy them. The Japanese like, we don't have the suits anymore. And so they came to me, and I was like, it was a big job, but I didn't want to do it. So I went through a friend who had a shop. And so we basically fabricated those suits from scratch, looking at photographs and pictures. You guys understand, it's the 90s. There was no DVD or high-res photos. So I was watching VHS tapes of trying to duplicate this suit. And I bought being a big Japanese fan, I have a bunch of books and manga and Hobby Japan books and stuff. And B Club was another magazine in Japan. They had these beautiful photographs of him. So I was like, wait a minute, I've seen this guy. So I had photographs to look off of. There's a lot of stuff we couldn't see. And the stuff we couldn't see, we watched VHS tapes. And if you ever pause a VHS tape and it's all like, it's all staticky.
It's just blah.
And you're trying to build, and that's where we had to build from. It was just such a maddening, it was the hardest, most stressful thing to work on at the time. That was, yeah.
That sounds amazing, though. Having to work, I couldn't imagine working from VHS tapes and stuff. I mean, I've worked from low resolution images on the internet. I've if I can only find a low resolution image of it, but I've never. I don't think I could ever imagine having to pause a video and being like, "Is that? How does that go? Is that like that? Like I couldn't."
It's all blurred. That's why I love making my own stuff and trying to build from drawings. But anyway, long story short, we got it built and it was done. And I was at home one day and they finally aired the episodes I was watching, and a sense of relief came over me because when I was watching the show, they were cutting back and forth. I kept going, wait, is that mine? Or is that the show? Oh, wait, that is mine. There's
awesome.
The one thing is on ours is that we put buckles. We had snaps, like these hook snaps, the metal hook snaps, like on a tackle box.
Yeah.
With a little hoop you flip and you snap it. I did those on the shoulders of the Cybertron guy, the yellow and orange, red and blue guy, robot guy. We put those on the outside so you could snap them in. We had to put them in there, and there was no Velcro. We had to snap them in. So we had snaps to the side and the top. And The Japanese ones, they have it pinned, and they had snaps on the side, but they didn't have them on the top. So when watching the show, I could see, oh, there's mine because snaps on the top. So, but anyway, that was my only way I could spot it.
See, I love that. That's the only way you could spot yours from theirs was that you had snaps on the shoulders. It shows that you even with VHS tapes and stuff, you managed to replicate that like perfectly. That's what...
I had people too. I had my friend Gary Young and my friend Dave was a sculptor. He sculpted the head, and I had a crew of like 3 or 4 guys. We all pulled together and like pulled together. Yeah, it's like, and again, there's an old saying: don't hire friends. You know, it's trying to work with your friends, and they're like, well, that's good enough. I'm like, no, it's not. It's gotta be.
Yeah, I know that feeling. I absolutely know that feeling. But not only did you work on these TV shows, these movies, Terminator Genesis, Star Trek Into Darkness, Hunger Games, you did like the Muppets 2011.
Yes, that was a surprise. That story, I love that. I was a big fan of the Muppet Show as a kid growing up.
Absolutely, amazing show.
I work at a prop house, and the prop house, we worked really fast at the prop house because how you're able to make money is you have to do things quickly. That's one that I liked. Why when at home and now I'm not working for a shop, I like taking my time to make something right. But when you're on a schedule, you have to make it right and you have to work fast. So to save money, we have to crank these things out. And my boss comes to me, gives me these blueprints, goes, "You need to make a cannon, like this weird little silly cartoon cannon." So they gave me blueprints. I'm looking at it. I'm carving out of styrofoam. I carved the shape of the cannon out of bead foam. I'm shaping it up, and I'm like, look at the wheels. And all of a sudden, I'm looking at it. Like I'm like. And in the shop, we don't have the name of the show. We just have numbers. Like this show is B735. You know, okay, but so that's we keep track of our hours. So I have to write down the project number I'm working on and the hours I put into it, so we can keep track of the hours. So it's at a job sheet thing. So I'm doing it, and finally I'm like, wait a minute. And I go in the office and go, what is this? They go, oh, it's they're doing the Muppet movie. I'm like, wait a minute, I'm making Gonzo's cannon. It's Gonzo's cannon from the Muppet Show. And so I was making one for the movie, and then I got excited. I'm like, oh, so it's so cool. So I think it's on my website. I think I put pictures of props I made. You guys go to my website, eviltedsmith.com.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. My mod in chat has all your links. I've given the links
to
there.
If you guys I think it's in my photos. You guys can see the Gonzo cannon.
Also, if you guys put !TED, it will come up with links. If you want the links quickly, you can just !TED. As for questions from the chat, because obviously... I've got a 1,000,001 questions already written out for Ted. Any additional questions will be taken by my moderator, Dragonheart, and she will be jumping them into my phone, which is directly in front of me, and then I'll be reading them from my phone as I get space to ask questions. But obviously, I don't know on this stream. I don't know how long we have with you, Ted. But I know we're gonna.
I'm gonna try to do my best to answer my questions
because I will get as many questions as I can done from you guys and from what I've got here. But hopefully I'll try to get them all done. If I don't, I do apologize. But I knew this stream was going to be busy. We have 24 viewers. I think that's the most I've had in some time now, and I'm very, very grateful for that. I cannot get over that I've got Evil Ted on my stream. But along with obviously the Muppets and stuff, we were talking pre the stream. Not only TV and movies, but you've done music videos with Rob Zombie. We were talking about more specifically, where you played one of the demons driving the car in Dragula.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, there's what happened was Rob Zombie was going on tour, but he had that Hellbilly Deluxe album came out. It was a huge, it was a solo album.
Such a good album.
So yeah, because he went away for a while, and the band kind of dissipated, and so Rob, like Rob said, he goes, when you tour with people for 14 years together, you need a break. So they took a break, and because I think it was More Human Than Human was a hit. They won the MTV award, and they were starting to get all this airplay. Yeah, and they finally blew up. Like they were getting all this airplay as White Zombie. So White Zombie is doing really well. And Rob and the band were exhausted. They're like, well, that's cool. Let's take a little bit of a break with all this momentum. Let's just take a little bit of a break. So they did. They took a break. And so while they were breaking, Rob was like, he just wanted to do something of his own. So he started being creative and writing his own music. And Rob was thinking, he wasn't even thinking of a solo album. He was just thinking, I can make this stuff for soundtracks or movies or make it, I can do something else, do something different. So on his downtime, he just made his own album. He made it and put it out. And when I was helping him, we were getting ready to do these videos for it. Rob said, "Yeah, it'll do okay. I don't think it's not gonna do White Zombie status, but it'll do okay." And again, it goes to show you that what happened was people were starving for White Zombie so bad that there was nothing out there. As soon as Rob released the album, the album like double platinum or something like that.
It blew up. Like it just shot right up as soon as it.
And what was so fun about it was I was working on these. I like the songs were all fun. They were like, I like this mix with rock and techno and drum machine. It was like this great amalgamation of rock and tech and dance music. But he did this kind of weird amalgamation. I really dug it, and I like White Zombie, but I actually like this stuff better.
Yeah,
and so
same. Like as much as I like White Zombie, Rob Zombie's better.
It took off, and then Rob's like, "All right." So we started doing the videos, and so we had to shoot these videos really quickly. So we did Dragula. I did and I think it's so funny. You guys can see my mug in Living Dead Girl. In the Living Dead Girl, there's a guy with a big hat and long blonde hair, and that's me. It's like I'm in the Living Dead Girl video. I'm one of the people comforting at the very end. There's a shot of the dead girl, and they put her in the grave, and they're all like mourning her, and I'm there comforting him. Yeah, it's like Rob was like, "All right, we'll shoot a video quickly. Ted, get this costume on." I'm like, "What?" So, and then when we're doing the Dragula video, there's a dancing girl. I think it was one of Rob's brother's girlfriends. She was going to do it, and she's like, "I really don't want to do it." And Rob's like, "Crap, we need somebody. Ted, get in the costume, go dance." I'm like, "All right." So I just said yes. So I put the costume on. I would dance, and then quickly get this witch costume. Act like you're driving. Bang your head. And so Rob would be in the videos. He would direct the videos, and it's crazy.
I can't imagine, because I know you said, obviously you were in the car driving and everything. Did you have anything to do with the large drum beating robot?
Yeah, the guys that look like they're the black armored guys. Yeah, those are mine too. I built those costumes.
That's so cool. They're one of my favorite parts of the video. Video.
I was inspired by Wolf Soldiers or Panzer Cop, the Japanese anime. Those guys with they kind of look like German helmets, and so
yeah, I know exactly the one you're talking about.
It was an anime movie, and they turned into a live action film. I think they did another one. It's on Netflix right now, and the armor was so badass. They're these giant shoulder pieces. So I made costumes, and Rob's like, "Hey," I made them for like Halloween for my friends years ago, and they're falling apart. And Rob saw them and goes, "Hey, can we use them in the video?" And I said, "Well, I'd like to remake them. They're kind of falling apart." So he paid me, and I remade them, and I had the German helmets on them. And so we were shooting the video. Rob was kind of like, I don't want to get any trouble with the helmets, so take the helmets off. So they actually had the German helmets, so we took the German helmets off. So I think the German helmets are on tour. They wear the helmets on tour, but on the video, he took them off.
Oh yeah, because you actually went on tour with them, didn't you?
And then after we wrapped doing the videos, Rob wanted to do this really production, he wanted to do this big production stage show. And what he means, like, and I have to say, I'm not a big concert goer, and now I understood. Rob said that grunge music kind of killed the rock show, because for him, he said that now all the people you go to stage are just guys up there on stage playing music, because that's it. Like, and Rob was like, I want to do what Alice Cooper did. Alice Cooper always put on a big production.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So Rob was like, I want to put on a show. And if you guys have not seen them, I think you can find them on YouTube. But yeah, Rob puts on a show.
Oh yeah, I've been to a Rob Zombie concert.
Yeah, we built a stage, and for Rock is Dead tour, we did this whole like Dante's Inferno stone stage, giant archways and fireballs, and I had several costume changes. We had like an organ player, this like creepy organ guy, like right out of like Disneyland Haunted Mansion, and we had costume changes. And I came out as this giant like 10-foot robot with these giant arms swinging at the audience, and the gag was all this stuff had to pack down and go on tour. So Rob asked me, I built the stuff for the show, and I went on tour to take care of the stuff for the show. And that was 3 months living on a bus, and it was fun, but I will not do that again.
Yeah, you were saying earlier, like, I will never ever do that again. I don't blame you. I don't blame you.
I don't want to live on a bus for 3 months. Yeah.
Oh, that's. I love this insider information. I absolutely love it. We have some questions. One of which I have written down already, so I won't be asking that one. I already have it written down.
All right, go.
We have a question. What's your favorite horror film?
It's so funny. There's movies. I like monster movies and genre, but things that actually scared the bejeebus out of me was I was really young, and they finally released it again theatrically. Was The Exorcist, the original Exorcist? They released the uncut version of something. We went to a was an anniversary for, and went to the theater, and that was just guys in hockey masks and coming at me. It doesn't scare me so much. It's the supernatural stuff, possession, demons, ghosts, like that stuff scares the crap out of me. So when I went and saw Exorcist, it actually got me. I was like really rattled. I walked out of the theater. Now I'm in my like 30s at the time. I was like 30s or 40s when I saw it again. I never saw it when I was young. It was so hard to see. And finally released it. I saw it on VHS. But watching a movie on TV, it's easy to kind of be distracted. But when you're in a theater, you can't beat seeing a movie in a theater. So I saw Extras in the theater, scared the crap out of me. And my second scariest movie is The Ring, the remake, not the Japanese original, but the actual American remake of The Ring. Was terrifying, scared me. Jesus, like oh.
I think I've been to one or two films that have literally just made me not want to go back and watch them again.
There's movies that are uncomfortable. There's movies that make you uncomfortable. There's movies that kind of make you like, ugh. There's movies that build tension and stuff. And there's some good movies like that. And you see them, once you see them, I don't need to see them again. And there's movies like that. But the movies that generally just a good, honest scare, that when the scare was over and I walked away from it, I wasn't scarred or worried about it. It was just like, ooh, it was scary. And that had to be The Exorcist and The Ring. Those are my two favorites.
The Exorcist, I know, scares a friend of mine. No, sorry, The Ring, I think, scares a friend of mine.
I've never seen the Japanese one, and I should do it just. I should see it sometime.
I tell you what, though, this one I wanted to ask you. I'm just getting some questions and stuff through for you as well. But I've definitely got something I wanted to ask you. Was we spoke about this a little bit before the start of the stream. Guardian of the Realm, 2004. Writer, director, and actor, Ted Smith.
Yes, that was a project. It was coming to Hollywood. Everybody wants to be a filmmaker, and I did at a time for a while. Like I came out, I was working around people who were filmmakers, and my friend Steve Wang made this independent film called Kung Fu Rascals, and then he got a deal went to go do the Guyver movie, and I was in the mix. I was right in the middle of everything, seeing how things come together, and like wow, it was exciting, and I thought, wow, maybe I like to try to do that someday. So what happened was, but I'm a laborer, I'm a worker, so I had a job. So I liked working and building costumes and props for film and television. So I was doing all that and had this idea for a film I wanted to do, but I realized I had to make something small, independent. So I wrote some scripts, and every time I get close to making it, I realize I can't. It's too much. I can't do that. But anyway, my friends, two friends back in St. Louis, and it was they had got some financing, and they approached me and said, "Hey, do you want to make a movie?" I'm like, seriously?
This is just something you get asked when you're in LA.
Well, yeah, I said, I do. I said, so we started talking about it seriously, and I sat down with them and said, okay, here's the deal. I said, I want to do what the Hollywood doesn't. I actually want to start with a script. I want to have the script done and polished before we go into production, because I work on the one thing I learned in Hollywood was they get a concept, they get a treatment, they'll have like an idea. There's scripts floating around, but most of the time these big budget movies, they go, oh yeah, we have this rough idea, and they go, all right, go, and then they get the name of they get the big actor, they get the director, they start getting the budget together, they get the production team, they start assembling, and the script is being written as they're in production. You're just like, what? And that's why when you watch these movies, you kind of think, wait, what happened here? That's exactly how it happens. Is they greenlight it, and I think over time that has stopped now. That was a big thing when I was out here in the 90s, by the 90s and early 2000s, that's how they did everything. And then when the economy crashed, the economy in 2009, everything went bankrupt. They started realizing, well, we haven't got a lot. Hollywood used to make a ton of movies. Their model was, let's make a bunch of movies, and all we need are like 3 or 4 hits, and we're okay. And that was their business model. And they realized from now on, they can't do it like that anymore. So now they're hunting for good scripts and they're hunting for projects. But long story short was they said they convinced. We sat down. We took about a year to write the script. I wrote it with my friend Wyatt. Wyatt was I had the idea, I had the treatment, I had the pieces, and so him and I sat down. We bashed out the script, and then we had the script done, and then we went in production in 2002. And I convinced this again, guys. This will never happen again. I convinced my producers. I said, to make this movie, I need time. I said I need at least 8, 9. I need like 8 or 9 months to build everything. So I said I can build it, and it'll save us money because I said Hollywood hires people, and that's where the expense goes. So I just need the time to build this up, and I would just pull in favors from friends. So for almost like 8 to 9 months was just me in my loft building stuff every day. I'd wake up like a job. I'd set the alarm. I'd wake up, start working, build stuff, put it aside, check off the list. Did that for a year.
Wow.
And then finally in 2003, we went in production. We shot the movie. So.
And for those of you who haven't seen that film, by the way, I watched it online the other day in preparation for this stream, and it's an awesome film. Like, it really is. Like,
it's a very tongue-in-cheek genre, and I tell people it's kind of like Buffy meets Blade.
Yeah, it really is.
It is. It's action-packed. We're in the process. I'll let you guys know this. For people out there who don't have it, there is some DVDs. It's kind of hard to find if you can find it on DVD. I think it's somewhere on video or YouTube. But if you can, we're in the process of working. We're going to re-release it.
That's awesome.
Because what happened was when we sold it, my friend Wyatt was very technically savvy. So we went through every movie. We color corrected all the shots, made it shot perfect. And when we gave it to the production company, I think Think Films that bought the movie, they just took it, set at one level and just compressed it. So all our nice lighting, everything got compressed and went dark. And so the DVD quality you can see it, but it's not as good as it could have been. So by the time it got released and out in the stores, we were like so excited. We ran to the stores and bought our own copy of our movie off the shelf. We watched it and went, it doesn't look as good as what we have on DVD.
Yeah.
It always bothered us. And my producer, who put all the money into it, he took a hit because we ended up selling it, but of course, you never sell it for what it was worth. And so when they talked about re-releasing it, I said, if you guys do that, let me go back and do an edit on it. So, and they said, yeah, totally. So they let me go through it, and we picked up, there's things I wanted to clean up and change and edit. So they did all that. So now we're in talks of we haven't got a date or a set date for anything for that. It's still in the works, but eventually we're going to, you'll know about it because I'm going to definitely promote it and put it on a video.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely. Because I follow you on pretty much everything, so I would love to actually... I'll probably get a copy of that as an actual physical copy. I think it'd be really cool to have that as a physical copy. Like,
But I want to tell them about you. For all you parents out there, this is not a kid movie. This is rated R.
It's a rated R film, yeah.
It's got some strong sexual content, some violence and blood and stuff. So just in case. And also too, we made it. I love sci-fi, and we knew that horror and sci-fi sell better than anything else. So we made a horror sci-fi genre film, and I put as much as I could put into it, and pulled my favors, and all the costumes and props was fun. It was a blast.
Oh, I genuinely, I actually loved watching it. I thought, when I was watching it, I was just like, this is actually really cool. And also waiting for you and spotting you, and I'd just be like, hey, it's Ted.
There's a spot you might not notice it was me, but when they're at the restaurant, the Nick Cafe, the restaurant, there's a cafe, and our hero Ben sees the guy. He's talking to us, hey buddy, what's up? And in the background, there's a vid phone. There's a video phone. There's a guy in the vid phone. That's me. That's me in the vid phone.
No, I'm gonna have to go back and look at that now, because I hate missing things in the background. That's brilliant. I have got some more movie stuff to ask you, but I also have some questions from the chat. One question is, what's your opinion on the new live action anime movies that have been made?
I have been introduced to. I've always loved anime. And I started seeing, I know some people, here's the weird thing about I discovered with people is that people are going to hate things no matter what you do, love or hate something. It's, so when you have a comic book of something, a character, something you grew up with, and you love it, and it turns from that to live action, it's might rub you the wrong way. And I always tell people, don't worry, the comic book's not going away.
Yeah.
It's not, you always have the comic book. They did, was that one on Netflix about the kid Death Note.
Yep, Death Note. Yeah, I love Death Note.
I knew nothing of Death Note, but I saw the live action Netflix show and I freaking loved it. I love the concept of the story, and I had friends who were like, "Oh no, this," they're going like, "No, it's not as good as the anime." And the anime, they started going off, and I'm like, "Guys," I said, "You don't understand. They took a comic book, and an animation and brought into a live action. That's such a hard thing to do, and even make it to do that and make it work is impressive." And when I saw Death Note, not knowing anything about the original content, it still worked. It still was supernatural,
Oh yeah.
creepy, scary, and it was dark. And I love the twist. I was like, "Well, this is great." And I know, again, like I said, I think it's great. I saw Alita Battle Angel, and I know Alita from the comic books. I read all the comic books. I used to watch the anime movie was not good at all. Like the original anime movie they made, I was kind of like, eh. I like the comic books. When they did the animated movie, it kind of lost something for me. And then when Jim Cameron, true story, before he wrapped up on Titanic, and there was talk of him doing Alita Battle Angel. I was like, oh my god! So he was in development with it after getting the technology going and working out the motion capture stuff and all that stuff that Jim did for Avatar. He was developing it that back then, and then 20th Century Fox bought the rights to Alita Battle Angel. They got the rights for him, and he was in production on it. All of a sudden, he said, "Wait a minute! I have this thing called Avatar. I always wanted to do, and now with this technology, I can do this Avatar script I always wanted to do." So Jim convinced the studio to change gears. They greenlit the Avatar movies. They became huge hits, and Alita got shelved for years. So when they rebooted it and got 20th Century Fox said, "We're going to lose the rights to have it. We bought this movie for you, and you're going to lose the rights." He had to go, "Oh, I got to make this." So Jim was producing and making Avatar, and he went and got Robert Rodriguez to direct it, his screenplay. And while he was doing those movies, he would watch dailies and footage. So he said that he was doing that on the week. He was doing Avatar and doing Battle Angel on the weekends.
That's a hell of a workload.
Yeah, well, he's a workaholic. But that when I finally saw it, I loved it. I liked how the story's big. All you guys who know Alita Battle Angel, the story arc is so big that they wrote it to where they were able to condense enough of the story arc and the background and the history. And so I really like Alita. And if you guys haven't heard, they're doing it. They finally got the green light to do a second one.
Oh, have they actually got the? Oh, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to that coming out then.
It'll be years.
More insider info. See, I had no idea they were making a second one. Unless people in the chat knew already. I know I didn't, so I've just found that out. So that's awesome. I'm seeing a bunch of yes in chat. People are very happy. So that's good. You mentioned Titanic, and
Yes, sir.
I know for a fact that you were a model maker on Titanic.
Yes, I was. We wrapped up on Fifth Element, and they were shooting stuff, and they shot a lot of stuff in the movie with the miniature ship, which I use the word miniature loosely because the model was so huge. Because when you're building any model that has to react with water, when you're shooting with water, it has to be big enough to look decent enough to scale. So Jim wanted to shoot when the ship breaks apart. They went out to in Mexico and they shot it all. And when the ship broke, they said it broke too clean. It broke like a cartoon. It was too it looked intentional.
Yeah.
And he wanted to rip. He said it literally, the ship was so big, so much it was sticking out that the weight of it made it snap in half. So he wanted this twisting and tearing. So we had to build 1/6 scale giant sections of the ship. And there's all these interior shots of the rooms.
Oh yeah.
They're turning and water's rushing in. We built all that 1/6 scale. That was big giant sets of. We built these giant rooms and we'd flood them, so we had to build all this furniture. And since you guys mentioned that, I brought it with me.
I was going to say, while we were chatting earlier, you actually went to get some of the pieces. You guys have no idea. I love miniatures and things like that when it's like something that's meant to be real. Ted just showed me we'll call them the bigatures. There's bigatures in chat.
Yeah, these bigatures. This is one of the chairs from the dining room of the Titanic.
Look at that.
And this is it's cast. This was
it's so big.
Yeah,
it's big. So big.
It's full of buckshot too. We did it in pieces. I think these pieces are all separate, and we glued them together. I think this is we had a base here and the side pieces. we cast them up, and it's all beautifully painted. We have this, and
Oh, the bench is my favorite.
we got the corner tables. This is all of
Oh,
that
look at
era.
that.
And holding us with my favorite.
I think it's my if it's yours, I think I know it's mine as well. It's the bench, if I'm right.
Oh, you want to see the bench? Here's the bench. Here's.
Ah, there it is. Look at that.
We
Look
had to make
how
we had to
amazing
make
that looks.
so many of these. It was ridiculous. And these are just strips of styrene plastic. These are just we sculpted this and cast them.
So
So
amazing.
we made molds of the sides and the centerpieces, and then we just we would use styrene strips, and then we had to paint them all by hand. So everything was just all painted. This on the top of on the top of the ship, and
I
then
love that. That looks they look absolutely fantastic. I hope everyone in chat is
this
seeing this. This is so
the
good.
one of the dining room tables and all the this all little
Oh yeah, that's so cool.
everything had to slide off the table.
Look at that.
So we had little cups and saucers and stuff, and everything was all painted.
Oh man alive. And that's all styrene plastic, is it? And some cast?
This is all cast pieces.
That's all cast.
I think the table, yeah, the table is this is all built out of styrene, and so these are all scratch built styrene pieces and glued, and the legs were cast. These were silicone mold for these guys, and we cast these out.
It's just like I had no idea you worked on Titanic, and I remember watching Titanic because I obviously I know the history behind it as everyone else does, but I also love the I've been to the Titanic Museum and I've seen actual models of the engines and stuff that people have built that are actually out of metal and they actually work and they show how the engines worked and stuff, and I love that kind of stuff. But to know that you made the huge, like you were there making stuff while they were doing it, that's fantastic.
Yeah, what it was that, but the thing is, again, I'm Titanic again. I was years toggles. I was one of the toggles because there was so many people in this show, guys. There's 50 to 100 guys. We were second wave because I wasn't the first wave. They shot all the principal photography. The film was done, not done, but all the principal photography was done shooting. And so Jim was doing all the miniature insert pickups, like things he wasn't happy with, or doing reshoots. So I was part of that team of the second wave. And the thing was so fascinating at the time was this was in the 90s. So Skype and everything was still that new. There was no such thing as so everything was all cutting edge, still growing. So they just finally installed a video live projector, a video feed thing from Jim Cameron to the soundstage we were working. So we would shoot the miniatures or do the shots, and they call them dailies. If we'd shooting that day, they'd get it developed and they'd bring it back the next day to show us, and we watch it. Then they would take the reel, get in the car, and drive up to Jim's place. He was out by the beach area, living in his house, and he would sit there, and we all sit in this room in this big screen TV with a camera on it. And he would talk to us directly, and talk about the shot. And he would talk about. And one thing I learned really quickly was that when you're working on a film, when it says it's a Jim Cameron film, it means just that, because he oversees every shot of that movie, every frame, everything. He has his input. He knows exactly what he wants. He had storyboarded all this stuff out. So we were watching the ship ripping apart in slow motion, water's blowing in smoke, and Jim pauses and looks at us and says, "Why is there smoke coming out of the portal windows?" Or and of course we look at our supervisor and why is that? And our boss well, we're having problems with the glass breaking when we're putting it in. And so Jim's reaction was so your solution was not to put the glass in? That was your solution?
Oh.
How about we do it again with glass in them? And therefore he goes, "You're costing me $40,000 a shot, people. Let's do this right." And we're and I realized he's right.
Yeah.
He's absolutely right. If the ship's ripping up and smoke's coming out of it, where there's windows, there should be glass in them. And I'm oh, he's absolutely right. So, but that was his level of dedication and focus. And sure enough, we did again. We got it and moved on. But he was one of those guys that he just was so knew what he wanted. It was very impressive. That's about as close as I ever got to work with him.
That level of detail, that level of that's $40,000 a shot.
Oh well, yeah. The thing is, it was reason being because the gag we were doing, it was all giant. It was 1/6 scale section of the ship, and it was all put together with hydraulics. So it was all engineered hydraulics, so it could close up with hydraulics. And we would go and put all the metal was lead, so we had to wear gloves and masks and take burnished lead and put on the side of the ship. Then my friend Ted would come in and paint it. The side of the ship, we would put little rivets inside the holes of the lead. We did all this, and it took weeks to do it. Then when we clear out, they'd fill the tank up with water, turn 3 or 4 cameras on at high speed and go, ready, 1, 2, 3. And the hydraulic thing would go, bam! It would just rip so fast and rip open because they had to look like it was that's how. And then when we do it, they always take one, and then you have to do it all over again. So this took weeks, if not months, to do this shot. So that's why it got expensive. And then again, that's how it became $40,000 a shot because I had the price tag to that. But the end results was amazing. But yeah, it was just watching it at it was such a massive level. It was such a crazy thing to be a part of.
I'm speechless. I'm honestly speechless. I like because you were saying $40,000 a shot with that, obviously the 1/6 scale with the huge ship and everything, but with like how many shots did you do in total with that like one? Because obviously that's the one piece of the ship that's like the important part that breaks. Like that's the bit that breaks.
And we would shoot it at various angles, with different angles and stuff, and then I think we ended up doing it 7 times.
7 times. That is 7 times though.
Well, and also
the
you get
budget
to recover.
alone.
And there's a great shot in the movie where the water is flooding. There's a shot of DiCaprio, I think, and Kate Winslet. They're running, and there's water rushing behind them. We made miniature alleyways that made flood and blowing the doors off with water and them rushing. And they shot actors, and like they did so much crazy stuff with, and then digitally having stunt people for some dangerous stuff and putting an image of somebody's. I think they had a stunt by. They put DiCaprio's face on somebody because I think you can see the guy running or some stunt thing was happening. And they put DiCaprio's face. There's like little nuances of things they did in that movie. It's just amazing. But a lot of that when the room's turning on Titanic and stuff, it was just giant. It looks we built. It was a bigature. It's this giant model of thing rotating and such. It's amazing. So.
I've wanted to talk. Well, as soon as I found out you worked on Titanic, I wanted to talk to you about that. Obviously, we have some more questions from the chat as well. What were your early influences? Ray Harryhausen, Jack Pierce. I think I'm saying those right, etc.
Yeah, Ray Harryhausen was a big one for me. I was growing up as a kid, starting for anything. Yeah, all the Sinbad movies. When I was a kid, the Sinbad movies. But I saw these Sinbad movies came out in the 50s. They've been making Sinbad movies for decades. And the one that came out in my era in the late 70s, early 80s was the Golden Voyage of Sinbad. And I was like, oh my God, Sinbad. And so it was because Sinbad I'd watched on TV from all the movies they made in the 50s and 60s, but they finally released one that came out. And Sinbad movies came out like James Bond movies. There were a series of them and they would make them every so many years. And this one was the Golden Voyage. And as a kid, I went to see it and I was just like, wow, it was amazing. That was Ray Harryhausen at his peak, stop motion and fighting. And Tom Baker, who played Doctor Who, one of my favorite Doctor Who's.
He is awesome.
Which again, I discovered Doctor Who in the 80s too, back in St. Louis on PBS station. He was the villain. He was the main villain in the Golden Voyage of Sinbad.
I've not actually seen the Golden Voyage of Sinbad. I need to have a look.
Oh my gosh. If you guys have not, trust me, guys, you've not seen this. Go out of all those movies, even I've gone back and watched them again. Structurally, it's like it's one of the better, more polished Sinbad movies. It's like it's a great story, and the actor they cast to play Sinbad was fantastic, and our English actress, big sex symbol in England. She was also did an anime. She was really popular for doing an anime video. She was also Stella Star in Star Crash.
Oh
guys,
yeah.
Stella. Oh God, what's her name?
And does anyone in chat know? Because I am actually drawing a blank on her name right now. I know who you're on about.
Yeah, she was the love interest in Golden Voyage of Sinbad.
She was that's fantastic.
Yeah, so
definitely. I'm gonna have to watch that. Sinbad of the Golden Voyage. The Golden Voyage of Sinbad.
But anyway, that was a movie that really blew me away. That one, Day the Earth Stood Still. I saw it on TV. and it blew my mind. That was another fantastic one.
Just written that down now so I can watch it after.
Yeah, Day There Stood Still and Forbidden Planet were these influential films when I was a kid. Um, and Forbidden Planet, if people don't know this, Forbidden Planet was what inspired Gene Roddenberry to do Star Trek, to make it like a military, like
Oh,
a
see,
ship.
I didn't know that.
That was his inspiration for Star Trek, was Forbidden Planet.
Man alive. It's cool to know like this insider stuff, like what inspired who and where you draw your passion, your influences from. I do have a few more questions on from the Twitch stream here, but I actually have most of them on here as other questions I have to ask you. So I'll mix those in as we go. But there is a film I've wanted to ask you other than Titanic, and that was The Fifth Element. I have such a love for The Fifth Element as a film. We were talking just before the start of the stream about the taxi cab, and that was a hell of a story.
Well, the taxi cab was my contribution, because they're building a full size one, like everything. They go into production. We're based in Los Angeles, and the company was called Digital Domain, and we got the gig to do all the visual effects for The Fifth Element. So they were shooting principal. They were actually shooting principal photography at the same time we were building miniatures. So sometimes we were building stuff that wasn't built yet, like they were shooting stuff and we haven't got, so they would send us footage and shots and say, here's a scene that's missing. We need this, we need that. So they built a full size cab in London, and we were looking at the blueprints they gave us and look at the pictures of the actual cab and went, this looks different. This looks really weird. And so we called the guys in England and said, hey, our blueprints, do we get the right ones? They go, oh yeah, we didn't really follow the blueprints. We just built the ship. We just built the cab. So we're like, oh great. So then we're like, so my boss, Leslie Eckert, who was a model shop supervisor of the show, he jumped in a plane and it went out to London and he photographed, because we realized they're going to be cutting between the live action car and the miniature, and they have to match. They have to look exact. So he flew out. And it was really cool because you can tell he was a model maker because he knew how to photograph this car. He got a side profile and he had a big stick. And on the stick, it was black and white. And he basically broke it down to feet and inches. So he would put a yardstick next to the car. So we had a reference of depth and distance. So he would prop it up against the car and take a photograph of it. And then he'd shoot the top, the side, the bottom. Then we get to the handle, the windows, the trimmer on the windows, and you photograph and you take all these measurements. So when he came back, we had a model, so when we'd make a replica, we had the photos to build, so we matched it from the photographs. So, and I'm happy to say when they watch the movie, they cut between, and how they know the car is the model is the only shot as you see the car by itself floating independently by itself, that's the model. And anything with all the actors' dialogue and stuff, that's the full size one.
Yeah.
But anything independent of that, it was like always the miniature. And then we cut back and forth. My favorite shot in the entire movie is the first time you really get to see the cab is Corbin Dallas gets in his garage.
Yeah, when he goes in and puts his card into the...
Right, and the door opens up, and as he's pulling out, the reason I know is because it was part of my job, is that we had to, the cab had to have, we have motion, it's a model, and we're shooting things called motion control. So we had to have mounts. So you have to have a mount in the back of the car, and have a mount in the front and a mount on the sides. So what it was, when you weren't using the mount, you had to put the pieces back in. So the only way the mount would fit in the back, I had to cut around. The cab was smooth and organic looking. And my job was I had to cut it, and I had to cut around the license plate and I had to cut this hole, take it out, and that was the mount. I had to put it back, and I made this little Bondo and patch. I made it to where it was almost seamless. So you had to take a piece of tape and grab it and pop it out, and then when you're done, you had to pop it back in. So yeah, it was super crazy because you didn't want seams on it. You couldn't have seams.
No, exactly.
So it was a nightmare. So it was my job to take it. So in the shot of the film, Corbin Dallas is pulling away, and a car cuts him off, and he hits his brake lights, and the car kind of rears a little bit. It's a neat little gag. When he's pulling out of the garage, somebody almost sideswipes him, so he has to touch his brakes. The car goes wee and hovers and goes back.
Yeah.
And it's all on the back end of that. And I was looking at that license plate, and you can't see it. So.
See, that's where you're like the proudest. Like when that number plate you can't see. This is so cool. I honestly I can't. I cannot get over this. I'm still just sat here like I'm gonna wake up in a minute and I'll be in bed, just be like, ah, damn it.
I'll give you one more short, quick little Fifth Element story.
Please
She
do.
falls. Lilu jumps and she falls to the hood of the cab. So we had several cabs and they had hoods on them. They're already, and the director's my boss like, oh yeah, it has to have a hole in it now. Like so, and throughout and then once the hole is in there, it has to be the hole all the way through it. And it wouldn't look like torn metal. So I take one of these cabs. It was already done, already pre-painted and everything. I had to cut a hole in the top of it, and I took clay and black wrap, like really thick aluminum foil, and I kind of watched the pictures and trying to match the ripped ceiling. And then we made a silicone mold snap of that. I would cast out a plastic resin, and then cast to make it look like it's jagged metal. Cast them, cut out the cars, fit it back in, Bondo, patch the seams, repaint it to match the cab, so it had a torn cab hole, it looked like bent metal, and I had to do that on 2 other cars. And then they're like, "Oh crap, we can see inside the car, so we have to have Lilu in there." And I think it was my friend Brian. They got a Barbie doll, and he cut her up and bent her and like put like tape on her and put little red hair on her and you watch the movies, one shot in the film. Again, it's so funny because you barely see it. It's an overhead shot of the cabs where the cops circle Corbin and his cab pulls up. There's these cops circle him, and there's a hole. You can see the hole in there. You kind of see Lilu in there. You see her leg. I think if that's it.
That's
And it's so ridiculous. Like we're building this, and I'm like going, nobody's gonna see this. Nobody's gonna see this. Like build it. So
I'm
yes,
gonna go back now and watch for that. I'm gonna go back and pause it. Try to find it.
Again, there's so much work you do not see in this movie. When Lilu comes out of the building and she's walking across the street, like along the edge of the building, there's a parking garage, there's restaurants and cafes on the side of the buildings, there's staircases, there's traffic signals, and across the street is a repair shop. And we built this repair shop that had little miniature hover cars, and we had hover cars inside. We built all these, like we built once they scaled them, we had like little like 16th scale cars, and we had them all over the place. Yeah, there were just so much stuff, so much layer. Then all that stuff, the city, those buildings is not CG. Those buildings are 20 feet tall. All those New York City in the future was all miniatures. And so when you watch that movie, people understand like that's all miniatures. It's crazy.
And I love that. I if anything, I'd prefer that to CG.
Oh, we do. And just you just got to convince the producers.
Well, yeah.
Everything's CG now. So.
With the Fifth Element, before we get off the Fifth Element, what were the stones made from? Were they just?
Oh, that's principal photography. That's all in England.
Was that in England? Was it?
That's yeah. So that's anything that deals with actors. I had no involvement in.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
They were shooting that in England while we were in LA building the miniatures at the same time. So
that's crazy. I love that. I there's literally nothing I can say other than that's crazy, because it just is. I can't even begin to imagine, like starting all that or doing what you did with the number plate when you just cut around it and used a bit of tape to just pop it out. Like
the cab door too. The cab door, same thing. The door had to open. So there's a shot in the film. Again, the car's already built and painted, and my boss goes, "Oh, the door has to be opened." Like, couldn't you guys tell us this when we were making it?
Oh
like,
man! So did you have to cut around it and just?
So I had to do the same thing. I had to cut the door. I'd cut the door off with a rotary tool and Dremel. I cut it open, took it off, and I put a little pin, had a pin on it and a hole so I could put the door on the outside. And I got it back to where, again, it's on the seam. I filled it, patched it with Bondo, and painted it to match. So when you put the door back in, it was just the seam of the door. It was virtually seamless. So because the reason is there's one shot in the film is that Lilu is in the car. The cops are going to arrest her. So they hook the latch inside the car, and Bruce Willis, Corbin Dallas, punches on it. And he takes off, and there's a shot of the car driving away with it open, and the cop car. That's a miniature shot. And so it's the gag was the shot of the car pulling away with the door open. The cable stuff that's the shot. So he takes off, and turns the cop car sideways. They break the cable and they take off.
I love that.
And then the car plummets in the fog. And then my job again was I had to build the scene where Corbin Dallas takes the car in the fog and he's driving. That's all practical. That's not CG. It's a big giant miniature we built. It's a big miniature alley. And my job was I had me, and three other guys, and we had to hodgepodge this scary alley set. Um, so
Hodgepodge it together.
oh, seriously, they're like, well, we only have X amount of money to do this, and they need this shot, and the budget was like delegated for certain things, so we only have this much money. So my boss said, I want you to be in charge, put this together. So it's literally, it's a flat. We put a flat up. We made like a little a stairway, a hatch. We were grabbing stuff from other films and junk, and we took two. I think when you go on down between the alley, you'll see these shapes, like these big ambiguous shapes of the fog, because it was all foggy and backlit. We took two garbage cans, and we turned them upside down, and zip tied them together, and stuck pieces of plastic for like weird silhouettes. But the main shape is two garbage cans zip tied together.
Two garbage cans cable tied together.
And then when they come around, Corbin, I had to rig the car behind the sign, and we took back. We had some old car parts. The Corbin Dallas made some vacuum form shells really quick, and put them in the background like a dead car and stuff. It's all just, and we had like days to make this stuff, and so it's so fast and crazy.
I love that. I absolutely love that. That in regards to like the movies and stuff. I mean, I've got more. We could go on for ages with the more movie stuff, but there are some TV stuff I wanted to ask you. But I have got some questions here, and the main question that I've been sent in the chat that I've actually got here on the list is, why Evil Ted? Where did the name come from? A lot of people have said, like, do you have anything to do with the Evil Dead movies or anything like that, and that kind of stuff?
Well, first of all, guys, check out the logo. It's cool.
It's such a
cool logo.
It's such a cool logo.
I don't know. I feel like I told this story a million times, but I'll give you the abbreviated version. Super close. It's my best friend is also by the name Ted, and I met him in L.A. We lived together, and so Ted and I lived together, and we had the house, and so people that kept calling us the Teds. Oh, let's go to the Teds. And finally, we're like, no, man, we have individuals, and so his parents, would call us Ted 1, Ted 2, Ted A, Ted B, and I was like, no, man, good Ted, evil Ted, and they're like, well, who's good Ted? I said, that's him. I'm going to be evil Ted. They're like, why you? I'm like, so who wants to be good Ted? Yeah. So it was an inside joke for a long time, and but then I met Rob Zombie, and I went on tour with Rob Zombie, and Rob Zombie came to me, and we're going on production, and I told Rob I'd go on tour with him, so we're putting this production schedule together with all our names, and Ted was Rob Zombie's like, oh, dude, too many Teds. You got like. Because he had his businessman, his road manager, and a couple of tech. There's all these Teds. I looked at Rob really straight face and said, "Dude, there's only one evil Ted." And somebody laughed, and so I made shirts with my name on them, Evil Ted, with this logo. My friend, he was a fantastic artist, graphic artist. His name's Tim Art. Tim Art designed the shirt for me. We picked out the font. I did Evil Ted. He was Grim Tim. I was Evil Ted. So we had our own shirts. So when the tour was over, we came back. I had a whole bunch of shirts with my name on it. So I'd wear them at work, and people would laugh, Evil Ted, Evil Ted. And it turned out that people just started calling me Evil Ted, and it stuck. And then 6 years ago, I was making my YouTube channel. I thought, what am I going to call my YouTube channel? What do you think? The Evil Ted channel.
That is so cool. And right at the beginning, what you did with your sign, you don't have to show it if you don't want to, but what you did with your sign, I love it. I love what you did with the sign.
Oh, you want me to show them?
Do you want to reveal your big secret, or do you want to? Yeah. Go on. You guys are gonna love this. This is like I was mind blown when I saw this.
Okay, here we go, guys. I do my Evil Ted channel videos when I do my live stream.
They're magnetic. It's the coolest thing. I love it.
There's Evil Ted Live. There's.
I can't get over how cool that is. I need that here.
Necessity is the mother of invention. I'm lazy. I did not want to make this twice. I was like, I don't do it again. So what can I do? Oh, I'll just make the letters changeable. So that's what I do.
It's so great. Isn't the chat's currently just going nuts right now? And I don't blame them, because that is when he did that, he bought his sign in, he hooked it up, he put his sheet over and everything, and we were doing it like that. And he just popped live off and put channel and I'm just like, it's like you've just the veil has been lifted. And I love that. I absolutely love that. And I think chat
And
is.
yes, it's made out of foam. It's made out of
Oh hell yeah! Oh yeah, yeah. I was like, is it made out of foam? And he was like, yep. Like,
foam, of
yeah. And
course.
people are saying I need one too. I actually asked Ted if I could borrow his idea on a permanent basis.
Guys, yeah, trust me, if you put all that work into making your sign and you want to do a live stream or do your own logo or something, yeah, it's very fun. But yeah, just do a live on there.
Oh, it's so good. Everyone loves magnet. Everyone in chat is spamming magnets. Everyone loves magnets. So, right, yeah, right. So we've done Why Evil Ted, but I would love to know. This is a bunch of questions of mine. I'd love to know, what is the favorite prop that you've made? It can be TV, movie, or one for yourself, or one that you've designed and built for your own cosplay and stuff. But I'd love to know what your favorite prop is.
I think people always used to ask me that, and I always tell people it's always the last thing I made. It's always hard to put, like, it's all about moving on to the next project. Like, I got that done. Once it's done, you kind of put it aside. Like, it was a journey, and once it's done with it, you put it away. But there's things that you look back and you're proud of. I just think there's things I like things for different reasons. I think I've told the story before. I'm going to do some more brief because we're on live stream and having people have questions. I'll keep my story short. I have a tendency to babble.
It's up to you. Babble away. As long as you're happy, I'm happy. Like I love it. I'm beyond happy right now.
He was we were doing Star Trek Into Darkness, and there's a scene where Cumberbatch plays Khan, which he was originally not cast for that. It was originally it was going to be Benicio del Toro who was going to play Khan, and he's a great actor. And when I heard about that, he would have been great. He's very I know technically studio-wise, that's why you don't see him as much in movies, because he's very eccentric and kind of moody and kind of hard to lock down. It's trying to cast him is like trying to cast Bill Murray for your movie. They're really hard to get a hold of.
Yeah.
And they had him for the movie, and he agreed to do Star Trek. He was going to play Khan, which I think back about that, he would have been great. And then somewhere through, he's like, I don't want to do it. He just kind of pulled out. There's all those legalities and fighting and feuding. So the studio was in green light doing Star Trek, and they needed somebody that's a big enough a name, but then to fill in for Khan. So Cumberbatch was available. They approached him. He agreed to it. So I say this because a lot of people gave Cumberbatch a lot of flack for being Khan in the Star Trek universe. And he was the guy who kind of saved the ball and came in to play Khan. But out of all the Star Trek movies, is my least favorite, the one I worked on. But in the scene, there's a scene where he shows up and he has this giant Gatling gun. And in the script it was apparently a Klingon Gatling gun that he takes and fights all these Klingons. And we had this it was going to play a big scene in the script. So they built one out of the prop masters they asked for us to make them out of aluminum. And we're like, why aluminum? Well, the stunt guys want aluminum. I'm like, do they really? Can you ask them why? Like, that's going to be. So we did. We made a couple of aluminum. My boss was concerned about, like, they're going to be too heavy. And I said, yeah, we should make them out of foam.
Weight would be a big issue.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. So I said, let's make one out of foam. So my boss, and he told me, you know something? You got it. Go do it. So it had vacuum foam pieces on the outside, but the majority of it was foam. So I built 2 foam ones, and I matched them verbatim to the aluminum ones. They were like spot on. So I made them, and sure enough, the stunt guys show up. They pick up the heavy one and go, oh, it's so heavy. It's so heavy. And my boss goes, Ted, go get your foam one. So I show up with the ones that look identical, but they're foam. They pick them up. Oh, yeah, this is so much better. This is so much better. So we ended up charging the prop master for them. We gouged them. So we built those. He didn't ask for them. We made them because we knew it was going to happen. He turned to us and goes, are they free? And we're like, no, they're not.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, so we gouged them. We charged them. So I took them. And so when you watch the movie, Cumberbatch shows up and he's winging it around, which is apparently my foam one. So we put all this work into it, and it's literally on the screen for 5 seconds. 5 seconds. And I laughed because that was my big contribution to the movie. But I chuckled because when you're making a movie and they're shooting on set, they just start cutting stuff down. So there's stuff that they were going to do. They just dropped and just cut it. So, yeah. So that was the scene that was going to be done with it just got cut. So.
But those Gatling guns are absolutely beautiful things, though. Like,
yeah, it's on the screen. He has a big giant one. So we made my prop house. We made the Klingon weapons and knives and guns. But my thing was the Gatling gun. That was fun, and I was proud of that one. And I made a mummy for the movie Ghost Town, and it's a Ricky Gervais movie called Ghost Town.
Yeah, I've seen that film.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah, I've got it here. 2008.
yeah, and he has a relationship with this girl who works at the museum. She's a museum curator. There's a mummy, and they actually shot in New York at a real museum. So I had fun. They bought me an examination skeleton, and my job was to make. And my boss was like, "Dude, you got to make it look like Tutankhamun. I want it to look like the Boy King." So I looked at photographs of the real mummy, Tutankhamun, and I did like old school like pantyhose and tissue paper and latex, like old school makeup stuff, and low budget. Like, but I had time to work it, so I did latex and cotton and tissue paper and pantyhose and to make skin on this skeleton. It was all done. I had like a week to do it. It was really nice. I had some time, and we put in a body bag, shipped it to New York. I never heard a word about it, and then like a week goes by, and I went to talk to my boss. I said, "Hey, did they get that mummy?" And he goes, "Oh my God, I didn't tell you." I'm like, "No." He goes, "When they showed up at the museum, the prop master, the producers, and the museum curators were there. So when they cut the box, cracked open, and unzipped the body bag, and they lifted the mummy out, they said the museum curators freaked out. They're like, ugh! And they said that if they did not know that was fake, they would have thought that mummy was real."
Oh, if that's not the biggest compliment
Right?
ever.
And I liked that. I told my boss, like, "You waited a week to tell me this?
Oh,
A
man.
week? How'd you forget?" And of course,
See-
like, it was very funny. So that was my big pound on the back that I wasn't there for. So
See, the kind of I'd say that level of sort of well, it's not even that level, nowhere near that level, but that when someone comes up to my Space Marine, when I'm actually walking around a con and they tap it and they're like, "Is it metal?" And I'm like, "No, it's foam," but they say it looks like metal. That is just
right, isn't it? It's the bomb. I love it.
it
Like,
just makes me think, boom, that's it. It's metal. Yeah, of course it is.
I had a Halloween costume. This was in my early days of costume building. I made a crazy, like very Guar inspired. I had this crazy foam armor thing I bashed on these giant scary spikes. They were huge, scary spikes. And I went to the trouble to make them look like they're pinpoint, like super sharp. And they were just rubber, but I coat them. And when I walked through the party, people were jumping sideways, like out of this party, and people were literally like getting like this attitude, like looking at me like, "Ooh, dude, watch out, man!" Almost poked my eye out. Everybody's like jumping back. And I realized it was the early day of foam fabricating because people haven't really been introduced to it yet. So I was like walking around with it. So and I finally stopped and said, "No, people," and I make them touch them. And they're like, "Oh, man, okay." Yeah, it was great. That was one of my highlights. People were jumping.
Yes, like, I love that. I love that. In terms of like the props and stuff you've made, then you'd say the Gatling gun, right? As of at the moment, would you say is your favorite one?
And the mummy. I think
And
the mummy. Yeah, narrow it down to those two are my favorite pieces.
like that.
And again, guys, hey, you guys can go to my website, eviltedsmith.com, and those pictures of everything I built are on that website. So you guys want to see about what I'm talking about, you can see it. Check out the pictures while I talk about it. You can see them there.
Absolutely. My mod will drop your website link in the chat. Also, if you guys !Ted, it'll also bring up his Facebook, Instagram, and all the links for Ted's website as well.
Please, while everybody's here, please follow me on all of them and get on my mailing list.
Oh yeah, jump on Ted's mailing list. I'm actually on Ted's mailing list, so make sure you guys jump on that. We have a question from the chat. Question for Ted: would you go back to making movies these days?
I'm in a position now where I can choose my projects, and
I like that. That's a good position to be in.
And so what it was is that big movie stuff, probably not. It's too maddening and crazy. And I tell you what, guys, this is a great story, and I can share it with you all. You'll appreciate this.
Please do.
This was when I was at the time, my YouTube channel was starting to take off. I was doing Twitch stream, but in the beginning I was doing it like every week. I was doing 2 days a week. I was doing Monday and Tuesday every week, and I had to back off. It's getting to be too much. But I was getting my videos, my YouTube videos, and I was at the edge of like, am I going to do this for a living? Am I going to? So I made a decision, like, this is going to be what I'm going to do. I'm going to focus on making content, doing streams, making videos. I want to be my own boss. I want to make what I want to make. So I made this decision. And a month later, I get a phone call from K&B. They're doing the costumes and stuff for Alita Battle Angel. And they said, "Ted, we would love you to come in for an interview for Alita Battle Angel." And I'm like, And in my brain, I know for a fact that what that means is I go to a meeting. They say, here's all the stuff we have to build, and here's the time we have. And what would happen is this is what exactly happens. You start building stuff, and all of a sudden they start wanting things because you start running out of time, or they start wanting more things, and so the production starts getting more maddening. And then you have to work. You start have to work faster, and everything you've done is like so everything. It becomes hectic, and then and this would take. They said like about a couple of months, which means everything. If they say 2 months, you have to double it. That's 4 months or 3 months. They always want to think the smallest, but they always end up going over.
Yeah.
So then I finally realized I would be off the grid. I would be gone because this is not something I could post because I would have to sign all these NDAs, non-disclosure agreements. And I realized that I would be out of the limelight for months, if not almost a year. And I went, nope. So once I said no, it felt great. It was this weird feeling, this weight that came off my chest of like, I can say no, and it felt good. I was like, because I've been through this, I've been through that treadmill before and done it. And it's time. It was fun. It's great when you're young and it's exciting. But after doing it for almost 30 years, I'm like, no, I'm done. So with that being said, I choose my projects, and I have two friends of mine who are filmmakers. My friend John Soares, who's doing a movie, Gingy, the Book of Lies. I think there's a trailer for it. John Soares is his name. You guys can probably find him on YouTube. He has a trailer for it. I made some weapons for it. I did some foam weapons, and there's some visual effects shots we did together. And I'm doing that. I'm working on that one. And my other friend Garo, who made a movie called Automation. I think it's on Amazon. It was for a while. It's Automation. It's about a robot. It goes crazy and kills people, which is great. But anyway, it's actually I built a suit for that, and I built some props and things for him and that. So I like helping my friends on their projects. So I do film stuff, but mostly my friends' films. So.
I like that. With you were saying you're making props for other people. You recently made, I think it was recently. I'm hoping it's right. In recently, you made some hooks for a TV show, didn't you?
Oh yeah, that was for Daredevil.
For Daredevil, that's the one. For Daredevil.
That was. I did that. I found it in my post and like showed like things I worked on from the past. That's one was the prop house, and I called those. I think it might be on my website. I want to start a category called One Day Wonders.
Because it was a 1-day build, wasn't it?
Yeah. I had a day to do it. They're like, oh, Ted, we're doing Daredevil, and they need like a metal hook. I'm like, when do you guys need it? Tomorrow? Like, so.
I'll get on it.
The funny story is what happened was it's working the prop house to educate my bosses about foam was because I don't work for foam in years, and so they didn't know what was possible, what you could do with foam, and sometimes they came from taking a prop and making a silicone mold and casting rubber ones. That's how you did everything, and sometimes it was too crazy or too cost effective. It wasn't cost effective; it would be so much money in silicone.
Yeah.
So there was a we did a movie, it was Battleship, that horrible movie Battleship, and there's a metal case. It was a metal case I made out of foam, and they realized it would take by the time they would make this mold and make it work, I could just make it out of foam, and I did it, and they loved it, and so from that point on, they're like, oh, this is a gift to everything. Make everything. I said, guys, some things go faster than others out of foam, but that hook, I had to do a hook. And they didn't give me a hook. I had to jump online, look up some pictures. And there's a scene where a guy takes an industrial, like a big metal chain and a hook on the end of it. He grabs it and wraps it around Daredevil's neck or something like that. And so I had to make a stunt. Yeah, I did that in a day.
Oh, that's so good. Like I'm just thinking myself, like where I would start off with that. I'd probably go to Google and find an image of one and then.
Right, and inside of it had an armature wire. I made an armature wire so it could hold the shape. But they can bend it or whatever if you need to hook on something. But it was like, yeah.
That's awesome. So you could bend that to whatever you wanted, really. You could. Yeah. That's fantastic. God, just and you just got that out of the blue. Like, could you make us some hooks just like that? Just we need them by tomorrow. Done. Like
and doing that every day for 15 years. I worked at this prop house for 15 years, and it was like that all the time. And it was exhilarating, but it's exhausting.
Yeah.
And I found that the one thing that I was doing. I was building at work, but not at home. So when I came home, the last thing I did was build something.
Oh God, yeah.
I didn't want to touch anything. And that was what took. And I want to take this opportunity right now for everybody here in chat, guys, to say thank you because you brought the fun back for me because I was doing this for so long for professionally, the fun was kind of gone. And I stopped building for myself. And then when I was introduced to YouTube and I met Bill Duran, he got me on YouTube. And I started making stuff. I started making the stuff that I wanted to make. It started becoming fun again. And now I find myself making things all the time. I got some projects right here. I'd love to share with you guys, but I'm making stuff. And it was like, and by not being expensive materials and not having some crazy deadline, I was able to pick the projects I want to do and build what I like to build and just do it with fun and have fun. So yeah, you guys brought the fun back. You turned me back to the 14-year-old boy I was when I got started. You know, when I saw Star Wars, I was like, oh, and I wanted to make everything. So it's like really, that was a movie that really fueled me to make. That was the inspiration for me with Star Wars. I was 14. I saw it in the theater, and I was there when the phenomenon happened, and people lost their minds. You couldn't get enough Star Wars. Everything. Crazy.
I feel Star Wars is coming back, obviously, in a big way with the latest films and stuff. It's coming back in a big wave again because obviously it did die down for a little bit. I say die down. There were still people cosplaying and doing that kind of stuff. Obviously, Star Wars didn't vanish, but with obviously the recent films and everything, it's properly come back in a huge wave again. In terms of prop making and stuff, there's stuff everywhere now that you can get. In terms of like prop making, you said like obviously you had those foam hooks with the armature wire and things like that. With things like if you had to make something for a stunt, like example like a baseball bat or something, what would you put inside it? Would you put anything inside it, or would you actually?
Yeah, we use fiberglass rods.
Oh, fiberglass, sorry.
Yeah, so those we would never. I never fabricated those. We actually had molds. We actually had molds of baseball bats. I worked at a prop house, and we had like every baseball, like Louisville Slugger, and like all these different brands: aluminum bats, wood bats, baseball bats. We had different styles of baseball bats. We had rubber molds them, and we would just lay up a fiberglass rod inside them. And the fiberglass rod, it would flex enough to where you could smack somebody, but it wouldn't break. But I always tell people, rubber props aren't really made to. It's just they're made just not so you won't hurt anybody, but also so you won't break the prop. We make a lot of rubber guns. When you watch movies, people don't realize that when you watch a movie, guns are not only like heavy and made of metal, they can shoot bullets, but they're expensive. And so in movies, when guys are running, they're shooting off explosions, or a guy's jumping through a window with a gun, that they have a rubber gun. So every time you watch a movie and somebody's got a gun, they're doing something with it, they have rubber duplicates of those guns for everything. So every time you watch a movie, knife, guns, all that, it's rubber versions of everything.
Just two-part cast.
So because you have a guy jumping through a window with a machine gun. It's like two things: you don't want to hurt him, and you don't want to hurt the gun. So
yeah, I think hurting the actor would be probably the worst part, but then hurting the gun as well would also be pretty bad, I guess. We have a question from chat. Do you have any current or new personal cosplays in the works?
Yes, I have. I was like, what? There's what I've done is I just recently wrapped up on it. And I know my fans, people have been asking me. I have a Space Marine costume. Again, when I say Space Marine, when I called my costume a Space Marine, that's before I knew about the whole Warhammer and 40K cult, like the culture of those guys. So I always tell people like, I love that game. I love what people are doing with it. So I just thought, Space Marine. Go. Anyway, I digress. This is my Space Marine helmet.
Look at that.
The thing is, I have these patterns. I've got them done, and I'm working on the video. And I had some technical issues with my computer, so I have to get an external hard drive to back up. I have stuff I can't edit right now. I got to back it up into my computer. So I'm doing that now. But these patterns will be available soon. And we talked about this earlier. This visor, you have a link for it? You said.
I don't have a link for it here, but if you could tell me what it's called, I'm sure one of my mods will be able to grab that link from Amazon.
Yeah, it was. I think we found it earlier. It was called Faceless Mask.
Yeah, no face mask. Chrome no face mask. It's on Amazon. If one of my mods can grab it and link it in chat.
And what is that? I'm doing patterns. And I have a video that explains how to do it. You can take I have a template you can lay on there and you cut it and trim it, and then you build a foam helmet and you fit this to the helmet, and that's what creates this.
It's so nice, and it's you can see through it, can't you?
Oh yeah, big time. Yeah,
you can see through it. Oh, here we go. Here we go. Look at that. It's so awesome. Like it looks so good.
But
Like
again, that's that one I'm doing, and also Cyberpunk is coming, and I'm super excited about Cyberpunk.
oh,
So I'm
Cyberpunk, I'm
making
so
a
excited for.
line of Cyberpunk patterns. I'm gonna because Cyberpunk's is about everybody's very human, but they're all enhanced in the world. So I started making Cyberpunk enhancements. I've still got maybe 2 more patterns to go, but I'm rushing to try to get these done because I think the game comes out in September. But this is take a tip out.
Oh yes, I saw this before we started. This is so good. This is actually really good. And I would get one, but my beard gets in the way.
This is the cyber. This is my cyber enhancement.
Look at that. That is so cool.
It's again, it's foam that you pattern, and the end results. I'm gonna get some. You can glue it to your head if you want to be one of the makeup guys, but I'm gonna get some clear elastic. You ever see that clear elastic you can get? It's really great. These are for like women. Women use it for like bra straps and stuff.
Yeah,
Like
yeah. It's
straps.
like a clear. You can get it in
Yeah,
5 or 10 mil.
but yeah, I put all this. Here, to show you guys. I did all this like um, 2 millimeter detail stuff is all over it, and then I'm gonna seal this and then paint it all up. And my plan is, I got these little, those little small like little nickel batteries, those little like thin batteries. I want to try to rig one up so I can put it so you have lights on it.
Oh,
But
that would be really sick.
so I got this, and hold on,
Oh, yeah, the eyepiece.
yeah, the Cyber Eye.
Oh,
Yes.
that's so good.
Oh,
And
hold on.
you've got your almost, well, I say Geordie LaForge style one as well.
Yeah, because this is my this patterns for this. This is using this half round
Half
piping
round
circle.
dowels. I love the half round dowels.
This is my Geordie LaForge inspired. This is the and this goes on like this.
It looks so cool.
And the gag with this one is that when you do it, you put a little metal mesh or some mesh behind there to hide your eyes, and you put a little so you can paint it up so people can't see your eyes.
It looks so good. The chat is currently going quite crazy. I haven't been keeping track of the chat, but it's Ted is awesome. Yes,
Guys,
he
thank you.
is.
But guys, please follow me. Get on my mailing list, and I'm finishing this one up next week. I gotta kind of finish this one up. I want to do a jaw. I've been looking at the video game, and I think it's so cool that I remember these bits and pieces. And I'm collaborating with my friend Shepherd Creations. We're doing I want to do a cyber arm, and I'm in the process of patterning that out too. And Shepherd Creations created this thing called like screw. I can't. I'll tell you what. I'll leave that. I kind of bite my tongue, but that's his thing. It's his project. It's something he's developing. So I'm gonna wait till we get enough done so we can announce.
Yeah. That's fine. That's fine.
Something that we want to do together. I got to reach out to. I was supposed to talk to him yesterday. We got so busy, but he. I know people have been talking about it, guys. I have him here, and I know you guys can't get him in Wales, but hold on.
Oh yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this. Hope you guys are enjoying the stream so far. I'm absolutely loving this. I'm so happy right now. Like this is the best. I've got a bunch more questions to ask. So if you guys have any questions, be sure to jump them in, and they pop up on my phone thanks to my mod.
All right, it's Evil Ted Cosmolds.
Yes, the molds. That's actually what I had on my list next. If you guys jump over to, I think what are they available on?
Here's the thing. I did this collaboration with Michael's Craft Stores
Michael's
here
Craft Store, yeah.
Michael's Craft Store in the U.S. and unfortunately they do not have a they're not over they don't have a store overseas. They have nothing in the Europe market. And I've had people from France and different countries reaching out to me. I always tell them like, hey guys, thank you so much. I appreciate you love the molds, but I collaborate with Michael's Craft Stores, and they're the ones basically they're manufacturing these. So any shipping or being transported would have to be going through them. So I was excited, and I talked to Michael's Craft Stores about it, and they were kind of like, yeah, we're not really interested in the overseas market. I'm like, ugh. Technically, what that means is that they have nothing set up for it. They're like they don't have anything in place to do it. So,
Well, I
which I think
I hope at some point, hopefully, I'll be able to contact a friend of mine in the US and be like, "Could you go
Yeah,
buy one for me from Michaels and post it to me?"
I'll tell you right now, that would be the way to go. Everybody's watching, guys. If you want to reach out to your friends in the States, but you might have to be patient because I think that when they put these out in the stores, I was super excited because it was my idea because I was the cosplayer looking for things like this. I kept going. I get on Amazon, I get on Etsy, and I look for people who were selling molds or something like variations of sizes and gears, and there was nothing. I was like, it was maddening. I thought, wait a minute, I should do that. I should be the guy to do that. I should make like different variations. So I had some ideas, and that's one collaboration with my friend Shepherd Creations because he does it. I think he did everything in ZBrush or that 3D writing program. So he helped me develop the skull molds here.
I
He
love the
developed,
skull molds. The skull molds are really good. The ones I have are like for baking, but that is
yeah,
nice. That is
the
nice.
filigree. I got dragon heads.
So,
These are all,
would you be able to use hot glue in those at all?
yeah, oh yeah. They're designed to take up to 150 temperature. They're made to be baked in an oven.
That's awesome.
So I use liquid Sculpey. You can use liquid Sculpey, foam clay, casting resin. These guys are super durable. Yeah, I was like anybody. I was a little nervous in the beginning, but when the molds got released, they're selling out. Like I went to go
Good.
buy a, I went to go buy a set for my friend in Austria, and when I got there, there were so few to pick from. I thought, well, I don't want to buy what they have left because I want a cosplayer to come in here and buy them. So I figured what happened is that when they made their initial orders for the stores, they based their sales on silicone molds before, but they never based their sales on cosplay molds. So I think they're flying off the shelves faster than they expected. So just wait a little bit and they will catch up with the orders as well too. Because I've had friends say they can buy them online, but the problem they're having is when they want to buy them online, the stores, they say, well, we'll ship it to the nearest Michaels near you.
Yeah, and then you can pick it up from there.
Yeah, which means that they haven't quite they're not caught up in stock yet. So,
But I will say this though, congratulations on the success of these molds. Like, wow. I mean, there's a few. I know there's a few I want that I'm gonna try and get myself.
yeah, and there's my favorite one so far, and I like as they're selling is the tech molds.
Oh
Is that,
yeah, those ones exactly.
yeah, and it's funny, guys. If you guys this right here,
Oh, here we go.
that's this part here.
See, this is what I love. You can actually see what it looks like, and there's the side piece.
There's the side piece, and hold on, there's the triangle.
Oh,
So that's a cast piece,
fantastic.
cast piece, cast piece. It's that thing that just tips over the edge. Like you put all this work into, you just want to put something else. And granted, you could make this out of foam by hand, which would take forever and not look as good as the cast piece. So
I actually, I'm gonna get my hands on them, if not all of them, if I can. I just need to find someone in the US. I have some friends in the US I know who would be probably happy to help me out, but I'd have to find someone and be like, "Do you have a Michaels near you? I need you to go buy one of each." I absolutely love that, and if I do get them, I'll do a live stream with them.
yeah, everybody's been really great. Everybody's been tagging me and posting pictures. I've been finding pictures of on my Instagram. People are tagging me and people making things. The thing with foam clay, somebody asked me, and I was going to tell them a detail. Like the trick with foam clay, people want to use foam clay, is that you try to take a big piece and you get a lot of air bubbles. The trick is to go a little bit at a time, like with like gears like this, all these gears.
Oh yeah, especially with the teeth.
All that stuff, you can do it. You just got to start with one level, like push it all the way down till you get just the edge, or in between, like push it all the way, like get a wood stick and kind of needle it all in there. And pack it, and when you finally get it up, just kind of push on it, and then the key is to throw it in the freezer for about an hour.
See,
And when you throw it in the freezer, it freezes the foam clay, so it's hard enough to peel out.
Oh,
And then when you peel it out, it air dries.
I love that.
Yes.
I'm definitely going to grab me a set 100% because I genuinely want to not only support yourself but also those really cool pieces you showed on the helmet. I'd love to have those on some pieces I got because detail is always where it's at. Like, you know, as much as the scale of the stuff I have, like the power hammer and stuff that I showed you earlier, as the scale is great, but to have that detail on it is just that much more. It's what you need.
Excellent.
So.
All right. More questions.
How long have you been cosplaying in general, like as a cosplayer? I know you started off in film and TV and everything, but as a cosplayer...
There was a convention in St. Louis called ArtCon. It was my local convention back in the, I'd say early 80s. It was early 80s. I discovered it. Apparently it was, I did not realize it started like a long time ago, but I was like, I like science fiction convention. What is this? So it was my first sci-fi con, and science fiction was in St. Louis, and I discovered it. You know, and lost my mind. That I realized that when I was growing up, I had 5 friends that liked the same things I did, and that was it. People don't realize. I used to make fun of. I like teasing people about this because cosplay and sci-fi and people into it is so widely respected now. Growing up in the 70s, it was not. You were made fun of. You were shunned. You could ask anybody that read those J.R. Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, all that stuff. You got made. Oh, you're one of those nerds. Like, we were a small demographic. We weren't huge. And it turned out over the years, we were huge, is that the public and the industries did not understand how many there was of us. But we were all in different pockets. And I was in St. Louis. I was just this kid. And I had 5 friends that all liked the same things. We liked Star Trek, Space 1989, like what we get our hands on. And I went to a con, and I saw guys dressed up in costumes, and my mind was blown. I'm like, what? There's people dressed up as characters from comic books and movies and sci-fi stuff. Like, so immediately I did one. I think it was like, which was like an alien slave trader, and like I just would come up with these crazy concepts and just like make a costume, and it was just paper mache and cardboard and poster board. But yeah, I cosplayed pretty young. I was like in my teens, like at 17 or 18. I started going and doing it. So.
It's about the same time I started, about 17, 16,
and 20, 17, yeah, and getting it, but then it's excelled to the point of ridiculous now. It's like, yeah, it's just, and I love the fact that now that people are just dressing up everywhere, because people always say, "Don't you love Halloween, Ted?" I'm like, Halloween's another day for me because I dress up all the time. Like,
yeah,
I don't need Halloween as an excuse to dress up.
I tell you, the funniest one I've ever done is I went to a Halloween party. A friend of mine invited me. He's like, "Oh yeah, you come to Halloween party. What are you gonna come as?" And I was like, "I don't know. I'll dress up as my Ghostbuster." I do a Ghostbuster with a proton pack, and it has all the music and the noises in it, and it's incredibly loud. And I have all the kit and the PK meter and everything, and the CUD meter and all that. And I went to this party, and I showed up at the door in full Ghostbusters kit, and I just turned on the music and just blasted the Ghostbusters theme and walked into the party, and people were there just in sheets and stuff, just looking at me, and I'm like, I have overdone this. Like, I have not. This is. And they just came over, and then it was just like, oh my god, like, did you make this for Halloween? And I'm like, no, I'm a cosplayer. You can always find out who the cosplayers are in parties when you just see their costumes are just elaborate as hell. I love it.
Yeah, because most people throw their costume for Halloween like weeks together, not days before costume. So.
Although I know people people in chat who have like days before convention built a prop for the con in a mad rush.
Yeah, again, I always tell people like that. To me, that's like working in the movie business, and I don't do that anymore. The last costume I actually worked like that on was I did my Mashiko Noguchi, the female predator.
Oh yeah,
that was Alicia Marie body. She goes by. Alicia Marie I was a big fan of hers. And the thing is, being a costume builder, I want to do something different. Like I make my own costumes, but I'd like to make something for somebody else. And I saw a Predator, and I see all these guys doing Predator costumes, and I'll be honest, I'm like, I don't want to be another one of these guys in a Predator costume. There's tons of them. And it's not dissing. I think Predators are cool, but there's so many people out there that do it well. They've already done it. Like, who am I to try to build something when these guys have done it and done a better job than I ever will be? And they've done all the research and the history behind it and all the nuances of the costumes. So I thought I want to do something that's Predator based, but to have fun at the same time. So I saw a female Predator. I saw a couple of these female Predators pop up. I thought, that'd be fun. So I want to do a female Predator. And so I went to a convention, and there's Alicia Marie that had a booth next to me, and I thought she'd be perfect. And I asked her, I said, hey, do you want to do a female Predator? And she turned to me and goes, oh, do you mean Mashiko Noguchi? I'm like, what? Who? Like, I had no idea what she's talking about. So I Google it, and these images come up. I'm like, oh my God. It turns out at the same time, Sideshow Collectibles did a statue of her from the comic book. Based on the comic book, they did a statue of her in this costume, and I saw it. And she said to me and goes, is this what you're talking about? I said, yeah, let's do it. So that's the costume I built for her. If anybody in chat knows what I'm talking about, they can grab an image of it. because that's another one I'm really proud of because
Oh,
it turned
I've
out
actually seen pictures of that, but if we can find, if I can get one of my mods to go and find that, that'd be absolutely amazing.
yeah, you might, yeah, you can find it on I think you might find it on her site faster than you can find it on mine. I don't know, but yeah, her female predator, it came out awesome. I was really happy with it. That was fun. And we were doing it, and she said, "Hey, they're they're releasing the Predator movie. We're doing a Predator panel at San Diego Comic Con." And so I'm like, "Yeah." So I frantically rushed and got it all done. So we did. We got it done just in time. I
Oh, I
rushed.
love that. The pictures are absolutely fantastic for those of you who haven't seen, and hopefully one of my mods will be able to find a link of the female predator that you did. I also just want to thank everyone who has followed. I have the Feathered Phoenix cosplay.
Yes, the Phoenix.
The Feathered Phoenix, Polyprop Submitted, Mexi Schmexi, and TNT Cosplay Supply. Thank you so much for the follows. I really, really appreciate it. Thank you so
Hey,
much.
TNT, you guys, you got to check out Iron Warrior Cosplay's armor. All stuff he's built with foam. It's amazing. So
Thank you so much. If I could get Harry or Desi, my mods, if you could just exclamation mark social for me. Jinxed Art, thank you so much for the follow.
yes, Jinx. All my friends are here. It's crazy, guys. Thanks
This
for
is
hanging out.
awesome. Like, thank you so much. Like, all of Ted's friends are now my friends. Like, following, and I love it. Thank you so much. This is really. TNT Cosplay Supply said, "Will do, Ted." Thank you so much, TNT
Yes,
Cosplay
yeah,
Supply.
good
I
call.
really appreciate it. Thank you so much. This is so much. This is amazing. I'm blown away by this. Back to your silicone molded stuff. You also sell patterns on your website, and I actually
Yes, I
have
do. In
I
fact,
actually
yes,
have
everybody.
the dome pattern I used for. That's just the front sheet, by the way. That's not the actual pattern. The pattern's already cut out, but I made that for my my pirate hat. So I got a pirate hat that I made with Ted's dome. The actual outside is just a big circle that I then glued in each corner, but the dome that actually fits my head like that is Ted's pattern. So thank you so much for that, Ted.
Again, everybody, people who just follow, go to my website. My mission is to take the intimidation out of building. That's why I have numerous patterns. I have a lot of patterns that are kind of basic patterns: helmets, chest, armor, shoulders, and things and whatnot. Is to get something to get started. Once you, I think the best way people is like, hey, how do I ask people write to me, go, how would I go about doing this? And I always say, it's best to start with something and work your way out. Because I think when people, the one thing that people do, a lot of newbies do a lot, and get introduced to cosplay, is they have something they want to build right out of the gate. Like, oh, I want to do a Doom suit from the game Doom. I'm like, dude, okay, hold on. I've seen the Doom suit, and now it's not anything I want to tackle as my first project. It's like I always tell people, if you're going to do something, start small. Get something that's like a bracer or a shoulder piece, and just start working with foam. And the more you work with the company we get, but start up light. Just do one thing. Making a costume, as I always tell people, is like crossing a bridge. Every project you have to cross a bridge to get like everything's a journey. Like start with one piece. Don't if you think about the whole entire costume, you have a meltdown. You won't be able to do it. I always start with one project. Like I always like to start with the hardest part first, like either a helmet or a torso. And once you get that figured out and you build from there, just kind of build your way out. Start with one part and then move up. Don't think about everything. Just one part.
I was quite lucky in the fact that when I met my friend David Roth, Exeter Cosplay, who initially turned me to foam work and actually making my first foam cosplay, the first foam thing I did was actually my Space Marine. But what we did was I sort of jumped in the deep end and we built it live at an event called Play Expo Manchester in front of everyone. We built the Space Marine in front of people, and it took us a weekend. It took us 2 days to build the main frame. No details or anything, just the main frame. And yeah, it was terrifying. And incredibly messy and awesome, and I love it, and I loved every second of it. And over the past couple of years now, I've been making it better and adding stuff to it.
Right. And the thing I always tell people is that when going to something, you got to be prepared for failure. Failure is all part of learning, and it's like there's nobody ever started off doing anything perfect out of the gate. Nobody does. It's all about determination and failure. And I always have people like, well, how much foam should I get? I always like get a lot.
Yeah.
Like think about. I'll get back later. Think about what you want to make, figure it out, right, and then figure out foam, and then double that.
And then double it, yeah.
Double it.
Every time I do my foam order, I'm like 2 sheets of 10? No, 4 sheets of 10.
Because you're always because something's not going to work out. Like if I have so much foam, it's ridiculous. TNT has really hooked me up, and I love. I want to lay the foam flat. I was telling you guys right now is that once I'm done with this job and these patterns, I want to do. I'm making a foam rack, so when I get my foam, I can put it upright so it stays flat because it comes rolled and you just unroll it and you let it sit out for a little bit. But my thing is, I want to have a rack so I can store it, so I can see. I want to make a rack for different thicknesses.
Yeah.
So here's my 8 mil. Like, oh, I'm running low. There, I can actually see what I have, what I don't have. So before I start a build, I know what to get. That's my biggest problem right now. Is I got foam all stacked on top of itself. I'm like, I don't think oh wait, there's a sheet, I don't have. Or
I need to do the same. I've just got mine all leaning in the big pack against my wall. I need to actually get something, a way of ordering it in different sizes. But in terms of the foam you use, do you just use your regular density foam, like just your regular gray foam, like
what I do, how it works for me is that when I'm making something that I know, I always know. My going joke is, everything I've ever built, especially making patterns, I build it 3 times.
Yeah.
Build it once. Oh, that's pretty good. It could have been better built. And then by the time I get it really good, it's probably the 3rd time I built it. An example, this Space Marine helmet. I did it with the floor mat foam first. I did it with the gray foam to make sure everything works because it's inexpensive, it's cheap. And then once I get the pattern worked out, then I use the TNT foam. Because I want to save that for the things I'm actually going to make. So I use the gray foam for patterning and blocking things out. And then once I get the pattern to I know I'm going to do it, then I do it out a better foam. And the happy benefit was I discovered something when making this was I'm so used to using the cheap 1/2-inch foam that was a bit snug in my head. But when I remade it again on a 10 millimeter foam, it actually made it a little bit thinner, so it slips on easier now. So it's actually, I thought, I didn't have to alter my pattern at all. I had to just make it out of thinner foam because the 10 mils, it's just a tad bit thinner. So
I'm really looking forward to the pattern of that coming out because I'm probably going to give that a go. I'll have to give that a go, especially we can get the visors in the UK, which is cool.
Yeah, and this is the little metal mesh and stuff. There's like inside the ears, like a little mesh there, and the mesh in the front, so you can breathe and speak and so.
Oh, that's definitely important when it comes to helmets and things like that. You have to be able to breathe and speak, especially with the metal grill I've got in there as well. The metal grill, you can actually breathe through that, so that's always handy.
Visibility is so important. There's some costumes that are hard to see. There's a going joke. Bill built that character from Destiny.
Oh, yeah.
And he has a little slot.
Just a slot.
And people they're like, Bill, how do you see it? He goes, I see through. He goes, I don't walk around with it on. I just put it on for pictures. That was the going joke. Like, people are so fascinated. Like, how does he see? How does he see? And he would walk around, and then when he's ready for a picture, he puts it on and poses. Like, he said, I don't need to see. I'm not going to put that thing on when I'm walking. So.
I have one here. It's not a question, but it says, Ted saying my goal is to take the intimidation out of cosplay. You certainly did that for me. So that's
thank
awesome.
you. Guys, seriously, that means the world to me. Thank you.
You've helped out a lot of cosplays. It's why at the beginning, in my intro to you, it's like you've made cosplay tutorials and stuff that you make it out to be so easy because it is. But the only thing is when people start off, if they don't have that sort of guidance to show them how it's done, they're gonna think it's really difficult until you go, here you go. Oh, also, yeah, like if you're making a helmet, or you're making a shoulder pauldron or something, you use your trusty foam anvil that this was thanks to you. Like, I saw Ted's foam anvil and I made one for myself. I clamp it into my vise. I know one of my mods, Ranger Creed Cosplay, Harry, one of my best friends, he's used this and he said it's like the best thing ever, and I'm like, thank you, Ted. Like, he's the one who drew me to making that because it's the best thing ever.
Yeah, it's funny because I wanted to bring it to as I was telling you earlier about this was that when I first did that video, people were saying, where do you get that acrylic dome? And people wanted to get exactly what I use, and I just grabbed stuff off the shelf. What was really available is kind of hard for everybody else to find, is that do what he did. I'm sorry, it's anyway, hold on, I want to say your name correctly. I had it today. I had it really good. I had your name down.
Don't worry. You can
hold
get
on,
it.
Wait, it's
a white bird and a rig.
Dubrig.
Yes.
Dubrig.
Ted got my name. Yes.
Dubrig. Okay, anyway, as Dubrig said, Dubrig and I were talking about earlier was that people were right, and I said you got to get. It doesn't have to be an acrylic dome. It can just be a ball of what he has right there.
This is a toilet thing, like when the toilet goes down, it fills with water, and then
Right.
this fills. That's all that is.
All I
That's
had to do is cut a hole, mount it, so you have something to mount it on. It's firm enough, and cut a vice clamp or put it on a table or a flat base. And even with mine, I can't really torque on it so much. So I do what probably you do is put it on a vice clamp. But foam, the opening thing that had my mind blown away was the reason it was my first video, how to make a foam helmet, was I wanted to show people that you can take flat pieces of foam and make compound curves. And when I used to see compound curves for the first time and find out it was foam, I'm like going, that's sorcery.
Yeah.
That's devil
What
magic.
wizardry is this?
Yeah, what is this? How do you guys do that? It doesn't make any sense to me. I see these kids at college. I'm like, oh, it would frustrate me. And then I finally made my pattern. I'm like, oh, and I started struggling. And the big trick for me was heat curling things first. Put a little bit of a curl in it first, and then when you glue it all together, it pulls it together. So yeah, it's so that's, and so the videos. Matter of fact, I'm gonna do a little plug on the 16th.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's funny on August 16th, which I go well.
So this is a first, is it? I hope this is a first. My stream's like this is a first.
I will call you later today. Promise. Period. So I catch up with somebody.
That's okay. Don't worry. That's absolutely fine. That's genuinely not a problem.
On Michael's, who launched my molds and stuff like that, I'm doing a collaboration with Plaid Effects Paints. I'm being a guest. I'm doing a live stream demonstration with their paints on August 16th.
August 16th. So you heard it here now. August 16th. Where can people watch that? Is that on your Twitch channel on Evil Ted Live?
No, it's in Michael's. It's going to be on their website.
Oh, it's going to be on their website. That's awesome. I
their
take it
website.
that's for everyone to watch. I take it.
Let me double check let me check my dates real quick, you guys. 16th. I think that one's at 2 p.m. my time, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And then
I'm trying to think now what time that would be with us. I know one of my mods, Dragon Heart, she is amazing with time zones. So 2 p.m. LA, California.
Yeah, and then there's a online class I'm doing for Planet Comic-Con.
Planet Comic-Con.
Planet Comic-Con is based in Kansas City, and that's 11:30 a.m. So I'm doing that one first. I'm doing that at 11:30 a.m. on the same day. And again, I lost my going joke is I got to reach out to my assistant and start because the pandemic and kind of slowed down a little bit for us. But
yeah.
I need to start, when people start contacting me, I've been doing too much myself. Anybody starts asking me for anything, I'm gonna start sending them to him so he can coordinate and stay on top of that stuff because I'm terrible at it. So
well, I just want to say I really appreciate you contacting me and me chatting over Facebook.
Myself with what happens. So it's not crazy, but anyway.
But no, you're a busy man. You're a very, very busy man. Because with obviously with the pandemic as well, more people are building stuff and everything, so they're going to want more information. So they're going to come to the source, which is yourself.
Right, fantastic. Yeah, and again, just like that was got me started and wanting to get into cosplay. So that's my biggest thing is I think people, when you see a costume, that's what intimidates people is that you see a completed costume. And I won't lie, I have a Facebook group called the Foam Fanatics.
Oh, yeah. I joined that and I actually shared this live stream on there and I wasn't sure if I was allowed to until I realized it was your page.
Yeah, you should definitely do it. Is that when you, the Foam Fanatics, I see stuff there that people build, I'm intimidated. I'm like, I don't know who did that. It's like, it's amazing the work that people, and that intimidates me. It's like, yeah, it's just I can see things now and see the work that goes into them because it takes work to make something.
Absolutely. I tell you, I've been so intimidated by the Foam Fanatics page that I didn't post things on there for the longest time because I was like, my work isn't good enough. It's just not. And then I actually posted something and it got such a positive response. It made me really happy.
And that's what I try to explain to people. That's why a lot of people say that when they get the Foam Fanatic page. And I used to tell them that's the whole purpose of having that page is to share the stuff and have people help you grow. It's not, and we have a lot of mods, and our mods, we don't tolerate bulliness or mean stuff. And if you do, you get banned. We're like really strict about that because we want everything to be positive. We want everybody to learn from these things. And it's like, and you can be intimidated, but it's all part of learning. And I just love the community. I love people, how much they share techniques. Because I came from a movie industry where if you had a technique, nobody shared it. They kept thinking you're just going to use their technique and steal their job.
Yeah.
This is weird mindset. It got pounded in my head as well too. So when I started doing the videos, it got me back into thinking like, no, I got to start doing this and teaching people. So
Well, the chat is a lot of it is you've helped them get going to where they are now. You've helped them have the confidence to do what they do now, and that's the whole point of this is. And as much as like this is how like this is what I want to do. I mean I know I've given patterns out to people for Space Marines and then help them build their Space Marine, but not actually physically be there. Just help them with messages or video calls and things like that. I know there's a person in chat, Hot Rod Welder. I've helped him out recently with a Space Marine build. He's now got the whole suit built. He just needs to paint it and detail it and stuff.
oh, fantastic!
That
What do you guys in Wales? What do you guys seal your foam with? What do you use to seal your foam?
I think the chat's about to explode because there's a running joke on my page. A lot of people I know use like Plastidip or Mod Podge. They use Mod Podge as well. That kind of stuff. There's a running joke on my cosplay page because there's only one sealer I use, and this isn't a paid advertisement, this is just a running joke. I use Thompson's 10-year roof sealer. And what this is a grey paint which turns to black. And what happens with it is it turns to rubber. And I've painted it on my entire Space Marine. My whole Space Marine is covered with 3 coats of this stuff. Every prop I've shown you, all the props I showed you before the stream, have been painted with Thompson 10 Roof Sealer. I have used the giant hammer to crush cans of Coke and stuff, like empty cans, but to crush cans, and it hasn't chipped the paint or anything. It flexes. It's rubber, and it's the best thing ever. I don't use the chat's going nuts right now. Thompson's 10-year roof sealer. It's a running joke on my cosplay page because I've used it for so long.
Because my favorite is I like Creature Cast for the props. It's a liquid neoprene rubber, but this is our natural rubber. Where's that tub? I can show you guys. Hey, where did I keep that stuff? I'm scattered. Oh, there it is. There's a company that makes it. Hold on.
And Daniel Theophani, DC Theo Models, Baymax has 2 coats. Baymax has 2 coats all over him. I did 2 coats for Baymax. He is sealed tight as a drum. Oh, I love this.
Yeah. This is company. You guys see. This is it's a rubber company. It's Polytech. Polytech. It's a 60 art natural. It's a rubber that's made for mold making. We make molds with it, and man, this stuff. I hope this lid's all the way closed. Anyway, you thin this down with distilled water, and I shoot through a spray gun, and that's for big costumes and things. But the creature cast, I'm gonna get really into as well too. But I find I use the rubber for the bigger parts. Anything small like props, guns, helmets, and things. I just do creature cast. It's a liquid neoprene rubber. It soaks in. And if you get it thick enough and you get drips, you can sand it. It's actually sandable. So
that's what I don't have with roof sealers. Once you put 2 or 3 coats on, you can't sand it. But if you put 1 coat on, you can sand it. But once you put more layers on, when you actually sand it off, it'll leave like a hole. But it's really good for battle damage and stuff. If you want that kind of thing. But I've used that stuff since the beginning because I got told to use it by a friend of mine, and I've never turned back because it's cheap for the size that it is, and it lasts me like a whole year. So, it doesn't take any of the detail away. I mean, you saw with the las gun that I did, that's laser etched detail there, and I've painted that with roof sealer, but none of it's gone. It's still there, and then I painted it with silver in order to highlight it a bit more and obviously show it.
Sorry guys, I'm trying to find my spot, move around. Make sure when I talk to people, I look at the camera. But
that's okay.
Guys, let's do more questions. More
questions. Right? Yeah, I have. I have a question for you. What would your advice be to a new cosplayer starting off, like from scratch, fresh? They've never built anything in their life. What would your advice to them be as a cosplayer starting off?
Start small. Pick something simple. Make a helmet. Start with a helmet. Start with a shoulder. I know because you want to make an entire costume, but start with one part of the costume. Just start with that one part. But make that be your focus. Like, okay, I want to be this character. Let's start with that helmet, and then start with that. And that's why I said on the website I have patterns and get started. But get something like that and start. And also, ready for this? I always tell people when you build something and you're not happy with it, or you make something that you're pretty decent with it, don't keep it and then keep building. I've had friends build costumes and they struggle with a part and they finally get it and they make it and they make the entire costume. They go back to that part they started with, and that's so much better now. They just remake the part they made previously. Like, you'll see your improvement as you build as a maker. The more you build, the better you get. That's my biggest advice. The more you make, the better you will get.
That is absolutely key, because I've seen that with myself. Like, I've actually seen that with myself. Back at the beginning, I could barely make a helmet. Now I can make these full-size props with,
Yeah.
the detailing and stuff. Obviously, the laser has helped a lot, but, the laser doesn't put the thing together. I still have to put it together and still make it right, but it's really, really nice to see how, like, by just looking at the props that I've made, how
Right.
from where I've come to
So that's
where
the
I am
thing.
now.
So just be open, just work, stick to it, and don't be afraid of failing. Failing is the biggest part of it. Failing is learning. It's the same thing. So don't just do it. Embrace it. Learn from it. Great. That's a good question. Next question. What else we got?
We have some really cool stuff here. I want to talk to you about it's the passion, not the talent. That is such a good saying. Like, where'd you come up with that? Like, did you get told that,
It,
or?
it's the truth. It's just that I would run into it all the time. People would say, "Oh, I don't have any talent." Like, that's not the. It's not what. It's not. That's not what makes you a good maker. Granted, there's and even the person that has the talent, it's just that they picked it up quicker. I always tell people, like, we all have. Some people, like, if you give me, a hammer and saw right now, I'm okay with them. I'm not great. I'm better with a knife, a craft knife and foam. But it's like I can do some things. Uh, there's a bit of an uncomfortability with new tools, and like, people love Warbler. I can't stand Warbler, and people love it. And it's not that Warbler is bad; it's that I'm not experienced with it.
Yeah.
So therefore, I won't be that good at it. Well, there's other people who work with Warbler, like Kamui, Cosplay, those guys. They crush it because they do something because they understand Warbler. And that comes from that's what you worked with. But the thing is, I have friends who are mad talented, but they're lazy, and they just don't do it because they choose not to do it. And my going joke is that uh, people say I can't do that. It's not that you can't, you choose not to. And like, I don't want to shovel shit. It's terrible. But I'll do it if I have to. But
Yeah.
but that's the same thinking, is because it's like doing things you want to. But I said, but I get these emails of people like, hey, you should do a video on this character. And I always write them back and say, the whole purpose, the reason I make my videos is to show you the ability of how you can go about making something that you want to make. Because people always want me to do a specific build on something they want. I'm like, I don't want that costume. That costume has no interest to me. But you know who does? You. You're
Yeah.
the one that has that. You're the guy who wants it so bad that you burn calories getting on your computer writing me a letter. It's like, take that energy that you're putting toward that letter and start building it. It's like, you had enough of a forethought to reach out to me to ask me, but my philosophy is that you should. It's like, it's got to be you to do it. I was at a convention called Acon in Texas. I was in, and there's a guy who approached me. There's a Japanese show I think Saban did called the Mystic Knights. Remember that show? I think it was the Mystic Knights. I think it was another Japanese show that Saban bought. But these crazy characters, and this guy, it was an obscure TV show, and he wanted this character. He goes, "Oh my God, Ted!" And he started showing me these pictures on his phone, like, "Oh, look at this, look at this." I'm like, I don't do commissions, dude. I said, I know what you want. I recognize that character. I said, and he started going, I want this and that. I'm trying to find somebody to build this costume for me. I'm like, and you can see the passion. He's just going crazy and pointing. And this, and I trying to put my hands up so he can stop talking and say, dude, listen to me. I understand what you're saying. And that even hypothetically, let's say you have the money, you hire somebody to make this costume for you. They're going to make it for a paycheck. They're not going to make it the best. They're not going to make it to the detail you want because you know this costume inside out. The person that has that passion is you. Even as a contractor, they're going to do the job, but they're going to do it to where, they get it done. Some people, not everybody going to take pride in their work as like some people do, but it's just that to get that detail, to get that love of that nuance, that costume, it has to be you to do it. And that's where the passion comes in. And it's the truth. It's just that, it's just the passion that makes you a better builder.
And I think that's going to stick with me. It's the talent, not the passion. That's really going to stick with me.
And it's true. I got backlash for it too. Some people, what do you mean? And like, I don't know if it's the talented people saying or whatnot, but I'm just like, if you do anything over and over again, long enough, you'll get good at it, guys.
Oh hell yeah. I have a. It's not so much a question, but it is some sort of a question. I wonder if Ted remembers that awesome cardboard costume he judged at the competition in Stuttgart in 2017.
Oh my god.
That kid was great, apparently. It was a
Was that
cardboard.
cardboard? I think yeah. Oh my god. Oh man, yeah. Oh my god, yes. Okay, yes. Yes, I do. That was amazing. Still good. That was that Epicon?
It
Which
might
con
be.
was that?
Now that you've mentioned it, I'm sure it'll pop up in the chat saying the Star Wars cardboard costume.
Oh, that one. Okay, yes. No, that was because there was man, which one was that? I'm sorry, guys. The
Comic
cons
Con
was-
Germany.
That's it. That was the one. Because Comic Con jury with Yaya Han, right? That was awesome.
I
She was
love
the
that.
host.
Because you have your own line of foam now, don't you? So does Yaya Han.
Well, technically, I don't. I have my molds at Michaels, and Michaels sells their foam, but it's technically really not my foam; it's their foam.
Oh, okay.
Because my foam is TNT. I like that's my foam. I love that TNT. But Michaels, I collaborated with Michaels and to make the molds. And what happened was they put my banner up because I was in process of developing these molds, and they were in production, but they weren't on the shelves yet. But I already made a deal with Michaels, and Michaels they're like, hell, we got Ted's image. Let's not wait on that. Let's get that in the store ASAP. So they put my image right up. And so and kudos to them. That's good business because they're like, oh, look, Ted. So all the fans are like,
Yeah.
Ted's foam cleaner. And I'm like, it's all right. I was like, I'm not upset. I was like, because that's business. And I knew they were going to do that.
Yeah.
And I always kept telling people, I said, well, guys, that's cool. Appreciate your support, but I have other products coming that are mine.
Yeah. Because that's what I'd like to go in the end. I say in the end, what I'd like to do, my goal would be to have my own line of foam stuff. That would be cool. My own line of foam
Yeah,
products.
you just deal with the shirt. And so that was the fun thing about it was that I was like,
cool.
oh, and
I
was glad
would
that,
call it like iron foam, something cool like that. I'm not sure.
but sorry.
No. Carry on.
But that was awesome. And yeah, because Comic Con Journey was a blast. And the costume was insane. And everybody's and especially his energy level was great. It wasn't just it's a combination of the costumes and it was your presentation that made it. It's like it's all about the presentation. And it's having the costume and having the presentation when you do it. It's fun. So
I do have one or two more things I wanted to ask you, but there's definitely something. There's definitely someone even I can't leave out, and I think everyone would know, especially if you're a big fan of Ted's. Bean.
what?
Your
Bean?
your
my dog.
Your little dog.
Yeah, Bean's she's a Twitch celebrity.
Yeah, she is. She's just the best. I love the one where you're doing some drilling or sanding. She's barking. Oh, Bean is so cute.
She's asleep right now.
Oh, Bean is like, for those of you who don't like, if you don't follow Ted like really closely, then you might not know Bean. But Bean is the cutest. Bean is the best.
She's gosh, she's a British dog, a British breed. Hey, wife, can my wife hear me?
Possibly.
Can she? I was going to ask her. She knows what breed it is, but she was bred to hunt and kill things. So, like, it's like she's sweet, loved everybody, but if there's another dog, she just goes barking.
Or if there's a drill.
But here's the thing: drill doesn't bother her. My shop vac doesn't bother her. The vacuum cleaner doesn't bother her. I make noises, all kinds of stuff. The compressor, but oh my god, the drill. Can't do the drill.
The drill is the one. Question for Ted: what advice would you give to someone looking to going into prop making / film prop industry? So if they want to actually go into that sort of.
Oh, fantastic! Yeah, first of all, build a lot, get good at it, get comfortable making stuff. I mean, there's the desire of doing it, but you want to get good at it first. Start building. Get yourself to a point where you're comfortable building and working, and build yourself a portfolio. And what I mean by portfolio is like start documenting your work. Once you get a piece that you're proud of, photograph it, take a picture. And also when you're building it, make sure you get stages like here it is in its foam form, and here it is when it's sealed, here it's when it's painted. Like show the stages and show that you're the one making it. And then when it's all said and done, have a nice photograph, a portfolio, having a body of work. And if you want to get in the community, I always say start with be a big fish in a small pond. Start with local theaters. Like if there's a theater in your area, if you're in school, go to the theater department. Look at, if they're doing a stage or a play and see if they need props and what's the prop have to do. It builds up your skills of what building things. Sometimes you have to make things you don't want. And as a prop maker, I did that for like 15 years. Like there's only so many guns and things you make after a while become numbing. I made some crazy,
Yeah.
I made some crazy stuff, and one of my first big jobs, I had to make fake sod, fake, grass, like when you
Yeah,
get sod.
that's
Yeah. I worked on it was for a movie and there's big rolls of sod. And this guy was laying out sod in this guy's yard for a movie, and real sod is grass and it turns brown within hours.
yeah, yeah. If you don't
So
water it and it doesn't
yeah, you
take,
don't water it, turns brown. So my first job was to make giant rolls of fake sod. And so they gave me fake grass I stitched together and I had to back it with foam and tear the foam up and make it look like dirt and sod. And I did it with filler's earth and latex and grime and I had to make them and I had to make them. They had to be perfect. And when it was all said and done, they looked amazing, but it was hard work and it was not fun. But that's part of being a man for hire, is that sometimes you take a job you don't want to do. But get good at building and do theater, do local stuff. Offer your friends help for Halloween if you want making costumes. Hone that skill, and also learn to work with other people. When you're building something for somebody else, you have to understand you're building it for them, not for you. So when you think something is good enough, they go, "Well, I'd like it more like this." That's part of being a builder. Is you have to understand, like, make it to where they want it or where they're happy with it or something like that. So it's
for
all.
example, taking a door off a taxi cab so that they can open it.
I did not want to do that. I did not want to do that.
I
But
bet you didn't like. Oh, it's just that is
but anyway, but that's the thing. But yes, just start building and start going to local theater's great. Theater's the best one to start in, just helping people with local theaters. They always need props and set pieces and things, and it gets you to work with other people, hone those skills, and build a portfolio.
I love that. So
Next question.
that was from my friend DC Theo Models. We're actually down to our last question. So sorry, everyone, but I'm not gonna lie, 2.5 hours almost. This has been absolutely amazing. We are down to our last question. I will show you. I will say some more things after we wrap up with this question, though. But this is something I've definitely wanted to ask, and the reason I've left it last is because I would love to know. Is there anyone that you personally look up to as a cosplayer, that someone you look up to? Because obviously so many people in the chat, including myself, look up to you as a cosplayer. Is there anyone you look up to?
Oh my god.
Because you're such a talented cosplay and prop maker, it would be like
There's so many. It was a thing where in the beginning was I almost want. It's funny you say. It's funny you bring that up because I was just thinking about this recently. Is that I want to start getting a notebook by my computer. So when people pop in my stream on my phone Fanatics and stuff, I'll see people or follow them. And they're just these remarkable builders in there that just crank stuff out so fast. And I don't know everybody's names or do anybody justice, but there was a German couple that I met at Epicon, and then I met them again at German Comic Con, and they dress up as these full-size Transformers costumes they build, and they light up, they make sounds, they have smoke, and they're spot on. And what's even more impressive about them, and I feel so bad, God damn, I can't remember their names, but I was so blown away by them because they're so huge, but they move so effortlessly, and they move around. They're on stilts, and their fingers, hands, they have this extension. Their fingers move and crawl, and they're all done on foam. And they got a gig. They ended up getting a gig to do the Pacific Rim 2. The movie was getting production, and they made robots from Pacific Rim 2, and they dressed up in the suits from the movie and toured with the movie, and it was really spectacular.
that is
And
awesome.
and God, I can't remember those two things. I think I posted them on my, if you go to my Evil Ted page,
Facebook or Instagram?
I think it's on Facebook, and you look at my videos, there's clips of them from the video, but I think I may have featured, I think there's a video of them at the convention doing what they do,
Oh,
dressed up.
I think it's AJ Designs.
That's them.
There you go. My mod Dragonheart found them in the chat there for you.
Yeah,
They are.
and it just the production of how fast they work, a team that got the system down, and I really admire them. I love their just oversizedness stuff is just impressive. And again, that's one of many. There's other people I follow that are for like more detailed work and mechanical stuff. There's I know I should put a list together because I keep finding people, but I always freeze because there's people out there that just do amazing work, and I bump into them, and I just feel humbled by them because I I never think I don't think I'm great by any standard. I just feel that all I'm doing, like I said earlier, is I just fan the flames. You guys are the flame. I just fan you guys, and like I just fan the flames. You guys, creative people, making any tip or technique I know I can learn. I'm gonna try to do more videos on. Everybody, really quickly, I have all your attention. If you guys have not went to my website, go to my website. Please get on my mailing list. Get on my YouTube channel and subscribe. I recently started a new channel called Evil Ted's Extras.
Yes. Now I have sent that to my mod. If you could pop that into chat, Evil Ted Extras. That would be absolutely awesome.
I started this a while back, and I slacked off on it. It's my apologies. I did that. With Evil Ted Extras, my Evil Ted channel is going to be strictly for build stuff and making stuff. But I'm going to start doing videos of like cons I go to, or interviews with other makers, or other side projects and things that don't really fall in the category of certain things. But I do a thing called Coffee Talk, and I've had interviews. And the first early videos are really bad. I was still learning about the audio and the cameras and stuff.
Don't worry, I wasn't great with this either. This is tweaked now compared to what it used to be.
Yeah, so the videos have gotten better each one, and I got some more Coffee Talk coming. And everybody, if you please follow me on all social media at the Evil Ted.
Your links are blowing up in chat right now. Facebook, Instagram, your phone Fanatics, your website. Your second channel on YouTube.
Thank you guys. Please subscribe, please. Thank you.
They are absolutely blowing up. People are subscribing as well.
I'm going to be next week. I'm launching my shirts. So I have a line of shirts. I have the Foam Fanatics and the Evil Ted shirt, of course, and it's the Passion Not the Talent T-shirts. I'll be putting those on sale soon, so you guys.
By the way, yeah, I wanted to say I made you. I laser etched you the Evil Ted channel, and also awesome. Also you have an Iron Warrior Cosplay T-shirt on the way to you as well as a thank you for coming onto my stream, and I really appreciate it.
Again, thank you everybody for hanging out today, and I appreciate everybody's support. And again, if it wasn't for you people, I would not be here today. I have to be really honest. I'm very humbled by it. I like the cosplay community, and you guys keep me going. And I'm glad that the molds are a hit. I'm sorry you guys don't get them in Europe yet, but if plans go well, I hope we'll have a new line going. And I made a mental note to myself that when the pandemic is over and I start getting back on the road again when I travel, I'm going to bring my molds with me to all the overseas cons to sell.
And you let me know if you come to the UK, and I will be there. I have to meet you and shake your hand. Instead of having a 2-meter rule, hopefully it'll be gone by then and there won't be a social distancing. I can actually shake your hand and thank you for coming on my stream. And but I honestly, I will send this little Evil Ted channel foam laser etch for you and a T-shirt. I'll send that to you as a massive thank you for coming on my stream. It means the world to me.
No, thanks so much. Yeah, guys, I do it, and I stream on Twitch too. I stream on Twitch every other Monday, Tuesdays. But if you subscribe, you'll get alerts when I go streaming. So.
And I genuinely cannot thank you enough. You guys jump on to Twitch, the Evil Ted channel, as you can see behind Ted there.
It's Evil Ted Smith. It's twitch.tv/Evil Ted Smith.
And it is absolutely amazing. And can I just say from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for jumping on my stream and chatting. And we've been here for so long. I didn't know how long you'd want to be, but I'm so grateful.
Oh, you're welcome. I thought I'd do it because I'm going to go have some food now. Eat some lunch. But,
absolutely.
But thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I really appreciate you jumping on. And I think this is the most viewers we've had. And I want to thank Ted again for absolutely everything he's done, including this stream. So thank you so much. And we'll see you all again soon. Bye for now.
Guys.